Okay, shalom. How you doing?
Shalom, shalom. I'm doing well. How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. Having a good day of atonement so far in the scriptures and prayer with the family.
Come, all praises. Likewise.
So today's lesson is going to be entitled Two Are Better Than One in Righteousness, right? Because we hear that phrase thrown out a lot: two are better than one, two are better than one, two are better than one. But we have to understand that two are better than one only in righteousness. Two, if it's like what was the dude's name? Have you seen that movie? The Black Judas.
I have not.
It's a pretty good movie. It's a pretty good movie. But what the brother would say, the leader of the Black Panthers, I can't even remember his name right now. But he said there's strength in numbers, right? And that's completely true. But we got to add righteous in there, right? There's strength
Uh,
in righteous numbers, people that are striving for righteousness, right? Because if not, then it's a weakness in numbers if it's unrighteous numbers, right? Because it's just going to be a whole lot of wickedness spreading around, like a
come.
fruit, that one rotten fruit, and you put it in the middle of the basket, and then the whole basket's going to turn rotten,
Mm-hmm.
right? So with that, we'll go ahead and start by saying all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, in the name of His only begotten Son, our Messiah, Yahweh Shai, whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Huey Newton, the Wada, Theophilus Williams, Huey Newton. So that brother would say there's power in numbers. And there is power in numbers, but there's true power in righteous numbers, people that are striving to follow after the Most High's word. Right? Khan, all praise to the Most High. So we're going to start with Ecclesiastes 4 and 9 through 12, which
Come.
is where people get the saying two are better than one from, right? And that's even a world, you even hear people in the world saying that two are better than one, right? And it's true. um of course, much more true in the truth. So hey, Ak, have you ever been called an individualite?
Yeah, come several times.
An individualite, for those of y'all who don't know what that is, it's an individual Israelite. It's a term that people in camps like to use to basically kind of shame you into wanting to join their camp. From personal experience, that's what it's been used against me for. But we're gonna see here how you don't have to be in a camp to make it to the kingdom, right? You don't have to be in a camp to have that two is better than one uh, mentality and spirit.
Come. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 4 and verse 9. Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor.
So two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor, right? That's like if me and my rib, or say if I wasn't married, me and the brother Jomar are trying to make categories. We're going through the word, trying to make a category on anger, on the Trinity, on Christianity, on Sabbath, on keeping the feast days. It's going to take me twice as long to do it if I don't have someone helping me. Or it's going to take me twice as long to read if I don't have someone else helping me out. Right. So when you have two people, you have a bigger reward for your labor because you're putting in twice the labor. Same thing physically. If you're practicing husbandry, you're growing crops or raising livestock, animals, whatever. We can do twice the work if I have two people, right? Go ahead.
Verse 10. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him that is alone when he falleth, for he hath not another to help him up.
So also, if you fall, whether it be physically or spiritually, let's say you're walking in the monte in the woods somewhere, and you're by yourself and you fall down and twist your ankle, break your ankle, if you don't got nobody there with you, man, you could be in trouble. There could be some coyotes or something, a snake come around. You're gonna have to crawl out of there. If you have somebody else, they're gonna lift you up. They're gonna hold you, kind of work as a human crutch. But then also, if you fall spiritually, right? If Satan gets to you and you fall, or you're forgetting to pray, you're not studying as much, and you got that person, hey man, have you been studying? Nah, I haven't. All right, well, let's study right now. Have you been praying? No. All right, let's pray. Right? They'll lift you back up. But woe to him that is alone when he falls, whether it be physically or spiritually, because you don't have anyone to help you up.
Verse 11. Again, if two lie together, then they have heat. But how can one be warm alone?
So when me and my rib and my children have watched this or read this, studied this before, so like
Uh,
get cut off real quick.
yeah, you
Do you
can.
remember
You
that
good.
show Boy Meets World?
Yeah, with Topanga.
With Topanga Khan. So the verse that, or the example that always comes to mind when I read this verse is, I don't know if you remember the episode where the brother, what's Corey's brother's name, the older brother.
I forget. I don't remember their names too well. I just remember the main two characters.
Khan, yeah, me too, Corey and Topanga. But his older brother, he was like a stupid dude, right? And
Yeah.
they got stuck in a car in the winter, and there was like a snowstorm, and he was with a chick. They weren't dating or nothing, but he passed out in the car. And then he wakes up and they're like in the hospital or they're somewhere else. And he's like, how do we survive? And she was like, oh, we had to cuddle together for warmth. And then he was like, what do you mean? It was freezing. And she was like, yeah, naked. And he was like, what? I was asleep the whole time. Like he got all pissed off. You know what I mean? But it's true though. If you're like in a snowstorm or you get stuck somewhere, that's actually what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to cover yourself. If you have someone else with you, you're supposed to be naked for body warmth, and then you cover yourself with whatever you have, right? But if you're by yourself, how can you be warm alone?
Um, and if one prevail against him, two shall withstand him, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken.
So if one prevails against you, let's say you're fighting, especially a sister. Let's say a man attacks you, right? And they're prevailing against you, but then you got someone with you, whether it be a sister or whether it be a husband, whether it be a male friend, then you too will be able to withstand him, right? But also, again, spiritually, if Satan comes against you, it's like, say, if my rib is getting out of the spirit, let's say someone in her family is trying to get her to be contentious, try to get her to be angry, and then I see that, and I'm gonna be like, hey, this is just Satan coming through them, trying to get to you, right? That's us withstanding them together. And a threefold cord is not quickly broken. So that could be two friends, or a wife and a husband and a friend. That could be a man with two wives. That could be a couple with the Most High, right? That threefold cord is not quickly broken. The more, like I said at the beginning, there's power in righteous numbers.
Good afternoon, brothers. Not sure what time it is where you're located, but are you using King James Version of the Bible? For the lives that we do, we use the King James Version. But like I posted on the comment, we can deal with different versions to cross reference as well. I know the brother has he reads primarily off the King James 1611 version, which includes the Apocrypha, which looks like this. It has the Apocrypha, which is this one. It has it integrated before it was removed. Um, King James, just you know, the King James has all the books minus the Apocrypha. However, you can, it's always wise and prudent to cross reference whenever you're doing your reading so you can have a better understanding.
Calm. So yeah, like the brother said, to cross reference, the two only that I really use is to cross reference is the scriptures version, which the brother Jomar actually sent me a couple copies of it, and then the NLT, the New Living Translation. If you have those two, like just to cross reference, and I'm not saying like I go off of those primarily, like he said, I primarily I would show you, but I have my camera off because it's slow. But I use the 1611 since it does have the apocryphal inside of it.
Um,
Con, no sweat, no sweat.
can a woman or a single woman who has been in the truth for a couple of years help guide a man who is new coming into the truth?
So if you could get First Timothy 2:12,
Con.
First Timothy 2:12. So I've gotten this question before, and to be honest with you, most people don't like the answer I'll personally give, but that's perfectly fine. We'll read this and then I'll explain my answer.
First Timothy 2:12. But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence.
So if there's a sister that's been in the truth for a couple of years, right? There's nothing wrong with her like sending a brother scriptures, things of that nature, right? But where do the sisters primarily learn from the truth? They learn from another man, right? And all throughout the scriptures, I mean, look at every single book in the Bible, right? It's named after what? After a man. The majority of them, right? All the teachers in the Bible are men, and you can say like Deborah the prophetess, things like that. It didn't say Deborah the prophet. I mean Deborah the teacher. For a period of time, she was a prophetess, but then as soon as the men came back into power and order, what happened? She let the men take back over. And going along with that, a lot of women use that one example to say that they can teach, but like we went over yesterday, what is it? First Corinthians 14 and 37, I believe, where it says, if you be spiritual, right? Paul said, if any man consider himself to be spiritual or a prophet, consider the things that I'm saying as commandments of the Lord, right? So there's a reason for this that he says, I suffer not a woman to teach or to have authority over the man. It's because the more that a woman does that, the more she starts putting on the spirit and taking on the traits of a man, because a man was set up to lead and to teach.
First Corinthians 11:3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God. And this is just to go along with 11:14. Everything must be done decently and in order. The Most High has set an order, and we must respect it. Um, every role has to be respected. It's not to belittle. It's to respect the order that was set. Um, there are ways, like the brother said. I like the example that you give. Like when you first came into the truth, and you were still into folly, and how your rib actually edified you. If you want to share that.
Khan. So basically, when we were first coming into the truth, when we found out we were Israel, things of that nature, which was almost 6 years ago, my rib was watching the videos and taking those things like that more than I was. I would just, you know, I wasn't really into it at the beginning. But what she did was, because I was smoking weed all the time, she just wrote a few verses on a card, right? Like Genesis 129, Sirach 38 and 4, 1 Corinthians 3:16 and 17. The basic verses that people go over talking about weed. And she handed it to me and she was like, here, if you could take a look at these or read them when you get a chance. right? And it just said like weed or something like that on the top, and it had verses on there. And then once I read it through the spirit, the Most High just put the spirit on me, like, damn, I can't smoke anymore, right? Like the Most High made it known to me in my spirit what they meant and what I had to do. And eventually that's what I did. And I'm not gonna lie, like I said before, I was mad at her for about a week at least. But that's because I was coming off of that spirit of not being sober and I mean really just being addicted because I would only smoke dro, which were mostly cross strains and they had all types of chemicals and all that stuff in it. But yeah, I would say that's the best way for a woman. And if you're in a relationship, for example, right? Because that's a question that I've gotten a lot from women that are married or they're courting a man. All right. If you're married, the best thing you could do to help out your husband is put him in touch or contact with a man who's living out the scriptures and who teaches the scriptures. Because by you trying to teach him, like the brother said, you're not respecting this order. And the order is there for a reason. Whether you realize it or whether your husband admits it or not, he's gonna feel like, damn, my I got her telling me what to do basically. I got her having more knowledge and wisdom than I do. And it's gonna make him feel a type of way. And sisters can fall into that spirit of kind of, I guess you could say it's a prideful spirit of where like, yeah, I'm teaching him. Or it can even be an angry spirit, because like in Sirach, it says a woman that maintains her husband will be angry and full of reproach, right? So by you having to maintain him spiritually, it's just going to be a bad look for everybody. So I would say definitely put him in contact with a brother, if you're married. And if you're courting, it's even worse, because imagine the courting process is to tell if y'all are going to be compatible, if you're going to be a good helpmeet, or if he is going to be a good head. So by you starting off the courting process of I'm teaching you and you're the man, that's already starting things completely out of order. You want to say anything on that, Art?
No, I think you covered it pretty well. The water.
Okay, con. Shalom to the sister Nakama. Yeah. So going back to the point, two are better than one, right? Two are better than one. Like I said, in righteousness, two are better than one. You have twice the strength, twice the work, twice the understanding, right? Twice the help, twice like let's say you're falling, especially sisters that like the scriptures say you're the weaker vessel. You have someone to help you, not um when you're down, not to wallow in that, you know what I mean? And you have someone to correct you, you have someone to give you scriptures, etc. Right? So let's go ahead and get if you can get Amos 3:3 real quick, Ak.
Con. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom to the sister Bree or Brit. Shalom. Hope y'all are having a good one in the spirit. Okay, I just saw the verses you pulled up. Ak. That's cool. We'll definitely get to all of these. Those are good ones.
This is Amos chapter 3 and verse 3. Can two walk together except they be agreed?
So this is a rhetorical question, right? Can two walk together except they be agreed? They can't, right? They're gonna end up being agreed if they're walking together, if you're walking hand in hand. Either you're trying to live righteous and you're gonna walk with someone who's righteous, or you're trying to live righteous and then you're trying to walk with somebody who's living wickedly, and they're going to rub off on you and you're going to start sinning, you're going to start falling into temptation, you're going to stop studying as much, you're going to stop praying as much, etc., etc. This is why it said that two are better than one. Why are they better than one? Because they have a good reward for their labor. They're both laboring towards the Most High, towards the kingdom. So if you're trying to walk together with someone and they're not agreed with you, well, then they're just dead weight because you're not going to have a bigger reward for your labor. You're not even shooting for the same goal, right? That's like if you were over here, you let's say you're trying to paint a house, and then you call someone to help you. Hey, can you come help me paint this house? Oh yeah, I'll be right over, right? And let's say getting the house painted is making it to the kingdom. Once you're done, that's the kingdom. And then this person's over here and they're just sitting around. They're not even helping you paint, listening to music, drinking on social media, whatever, eating. And then you know what? You're almost done. And then they're walking around the house and they put their hands all on the house. And now you got to paint more. And then they're eating a sandwich or a burger, and then they squirt some ketchup on your house, right? That's how it is when you're walking with somebody who is not shooting for the same goal as you. And that's why you won't have a good reward for your labor because they're just slowing you down. They're weighing you down, right? So if you can give me, I think we went over it yesterday, but Hebrews 10, 24, and 25.
Come on.
And actually, I'll put a couple in the private chat, and then we'll get to these verses that you posted up in a little
Uh,
bit.
yeah. There were just some that I had, but if you know if they come up, we'll bring them up. I wanted to keep them in there in case we needed to bring them out.
Con the water. So yeah, the sister said set apart. Con.
Hebrews 10 and 24. And let us consider one another to provoke unto love and to good works, not forsaking the assembly of ourselves together, as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as ye see the day approaching.
Con. If you could get the definition of exhort too, Baba Kashaw. So it says, let us consider one another to provoke unto love and to good works. Right? Two are better than one if y'all are provoking each other unto love, which I'm sure everybody's familiar. First John 5 and 3, keep the commandments, right? And not let them be grievous. If someone's provoking you to keep the commandments, well, then that too is better than one. If they're provoking you to good works, they're provoking you, hey, you need to pray more. Hey, let's study. Hey, have you read this chapter before? No, let's read it together. Hey, have you read about the story of this? No, all right, let's do it. That's provoking you, right? Then it says, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together, which we're doing right now, assembling ourselves together, as the manner of some is. Some people, like we were bringing out earlier, me and this brother have been called individualites because we're not a part of a big camp, right? An individual Israelite. But I would say that's completely untrue because I have this brother, I have another brother that I talk to or counsel with, if anything. I have my rib, right? I study daily with my family, etc. And that's how we assemble ourselves together and study the word. It doesn't have to be some huge congregation, right? It's like Yahushua said, where two or three are gathered in my name, there I am in the midst of them. The Most High and the Spirit is in the midst of us. If there's just two of us, if it's just me and this brother talking about the scriptures, right? If it's just you and one other person. So it says, but exhorting one another.
Exhort, strongly encourage, or urge someone to do something.
So we were talking about this the other day about like peer pressure and stuff like that. In the world, people peer pressure you to do bad things. Hey, come on, let's hit this blunt. Hey, come on, let's go drink. Hey, let's go to this bar. Hey, let's go to this party, etc. Right? We should be like that in the truth. Hey, let's study. Hey, let's pray about this. Hey, I'm gonna fast. You want to fast with me? Hey, let's read this book. Hey, let's try and do 3 chapters a day for the whole week, and then me and you will study them together afterwards after we read them. Kind of like how they do like what do they call, like a book club or something?
Mm-hmm.
That is strongly encouraging or urging to do something. That's exhorting, right? That's what we're supposed to be doing, exhorting one another. And so much the more as ye see the day approaching, right? It's like when I was doing MMA and the fight, when I was going to fight and then the day gets closer, you see the day approaching. And what do you want to do? You want to train harder. You want to train more. You want to eat better. You want to rest better. You want to recover better, even like getting massages, using a massage gun or stuff like that. As you see the day approaching of the day of judgment, we should be doing this even more, exhorting each other even more. I'm gonna post that verse you just pulled up.
This is Psalms 133 and verse 1. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity.
You want to break that down? I'm gonna send you a couple verses real quick.
Most definitely. Just like the brother was saying, um, you know, you could be out of unity, in unity in the world, um, which is a false sense of unity, smoking weed or getting drunk, you know, being a drunkard, and in let's say in congregation of wickedness, where instead of pushing each other to become better men, better leaders, raising a new generation that is stronger and in the knowledge of their true heritage, you're perpetuating wickedness when, you know, we could be pleasantly joining with your brotherhood, your sisterhood, to dwell together in unity. And how do we do that? You know, by teaching each other the ways of the scriptures, by keeping each other motivated to do better. Just like the brother was saying, you know, like um, I'll ask him questions. You know, I remember asking him about dietary laws not too long ago. We were talking about duck, and we were breaking that down. You know, with the sister I'm courting, we'll do categories. I'll do, for example, we were doing a category on encouraging scriptures, right? And then I would go and look one up, you know, and then she'll go and look one up. And then by the end of the study session, we would have a note card with about 21, 22 precepts, you know, and that's pushing each other to be better. So that's really the to me, behold how good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity versus being in wickedness.
Con, and that's a beautiful example as well. Let me see if I'm able to. Hopefully, this don't slow down. I'm gonna bring up precept real quick too to go along with that.
Con. I'm pulling up the ones you just sent.
Okay, con, and that's a good testimony as well, because we have to understand that in a courting process, that's what you should be doing. That's what you should be looking for,
Con.
right? To be in the scriptures, to be helping each other, right? The man is the teacher. Like the sister had asked earlier, can a woman be teaching the man? A woman doesn't. If everybody's in order, the woman doesn't have to teach the man. The woman isn't made to teach the man. She's made to help the man. So, like what he just said, they're both pulling out scriptures, right? That's them helping each other, but the man is still the leader in the study.
Con. Hold yeah, I'm putting up Sirach.
You good?
Con, you got Sirach 25 verse 1. In three things I was beautified and stood up beautiful before God and men: the unity of brethren, the love of right of neighbors, a man and a wife, that agree together.
Con. So it says three things are beautiful before the Most High and before men. We should be seeing it as beautiful, and the Most High sees it as beautiful. The unity of brethren, right? Us coming together, us two brothers that live more than 1,000 miles away, and bringing out precepts on Day of Atonement. The Most High sees that as beautiful. The love of neighbors, when we have love for each other. Hey, y'all, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? Or I'm struggling with this. Well, do you have any scriptures, etc.? And a man and a wife that agree together. Most men and most women that are married do not agree together, and that's why their marriages don't work out. And it talks about that in First Peter as well.
This is Sirach chapter 40, verse 23. A friend and companion never meet amiss, but above both is a wife with her husband.
Khan. So, like it said before, in Sirach 25, the one we just brought out, it says there's these three things are beautiful, right? The unity of brethren, the love of neighbors, a man and his wife that agree. But above those is a wife with her husband. Why? Because that's supposed to be an everlasting covenant, right? That's supposed to be that's a representation of Christ and the church, right? Because like it says, the wife is the church, and that husband coming is Yahushai, right? And that's why it says this in Genesis, all the way in the beginning of the book.
And the Lord God said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him an helpmeet for him.
So, like we've brought out many times, a woman was made, literally, according to the Bible, a woman was made to be a helpmeet to a man, right? So that's why it says, above both is a wife with her husband. A wife and a husband that are together in the word and striving for the kingdom, that is something that is invaluable, right? Me and the brother Jomar could be best friends and we talk every day and we study together and all of this stuff. But I guarantee you, most high willing, if he marries the woman that he's courting, she's going to be way more profitable to him and his walk than I ever could be, right? Because when you have a woman as a man, if you have a woman, a wife, and you treat her the way that you're supposed to, according to the scriptures, like in Ephesians, the fifth chapter, it says to love your wife as yourself. So if you want to make it to the kingdom and you want your soul to be fed daily with the word, etc., you're going to do the same for your woman. And guess what? That helps build you up even more, as I'm sure you can attest to as well, right, Ak?
Come.
It's going to make you want to study more because now you're not just learning for yourself, you're learning for her, you're learning for your household, right? So we'll keep going, or let's go back to Sirach. What was it? 6:13.
Come. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 6, verse 13. Separate thyself from thine enemies and take heed of thy friends.
So once you start coming into the truth, it can be easy at times to see who your enemies are, right? Okay, this person's just always smoking weed. This person's never up to nothing good. This person is lazy. Every time I'm around them, we do nothing productive. This person's just wicked. They're always just going out partying, doing drugs, etc. Right? But then it says, "Take heed of thy friends." Right? So you got to see who are your real friends in this thing. Who are those people that if you keep them around, it's going to be two better than one.
Verse 14. A faithful friend is a strong defense, and he that hath found such an one hath found a treasure.
So a faithful friend is a strong defense. That's the first characteristic of a friend that is full of faith. Because remember, it says take heed to your friends. In other words, see who you're keeping around you. right? Really think about, are they actually your friend or your enemy? The first characteristic is they are a strong defense. They're a defense against Satan, against sin, against temptation, against going against the ways of the Most High. They're going to help you keep the ways of the Most High, right? You got a faithful friend, and hey, you want to go and do blah blah. You want to go watch a movie? Oh man, that's on Sabbath though. Oh, you're right. Hey, you want to eat over here? You want to come over and eat this? Blah blah blah. Oh, you know what? Actually, that has gelatin in it. They're being that defense, right? Oh, hey, you want to go over? I just got invited to this to our friend's house. Remember, what's her name? And oh, you know what, man? They all they do is smoke weed. It's probably not a good idea, right? They're gonna help defend against that. Where on the contrary, if someone's your enemy, they're gonna be leading you right into it, or they're gonna be right there hand in hand with you, right? Yeah, let's go do this, and it's against the Most High. And he that hath found such a one hath found a treasure. So a treasure obviously is very valuable, but also treasure for the most part it increases over time in value, right? It's like gold right now. You look at gold or silver, what's happening to it? It's going up,
Up in value. Con.
right? And the reason for that is because everything else is falling apart around us.
Con. So like you cut off on.
Can you hear me out?
Yeah.
Okay, Khan. So like as we see this society crumble and the dollar bill crash, gold and silver is like a treasure. It's going up. The same thing spiritually. As we see wickedness increasing, like it says in the Apocrypha and in the New Testament, it says that wickedness will abound. It's going to increase and get worse and worse. Guess what? A righteous friend or a faithful friend, that's that treasure that they are is going up and up and up.
Sirach 6 and 15. Nothing doth countervail a faithful friend, and his excellency is invaluable.
Nothing can counter a faithful friend. I remember there was this one dude, one of the first gyms I started sparring at, and he was my first like experience of sparring with him, and he was purely what you call a counter fighter. He would never come forward and try and strike you first. He would wait till you throw a punch or a kick or anything, and then he would be ready for it and he would just counter. And he would sit back and do nothing, and then he would just counter and counter, right? This says nothing doth countervail or counter a faithful friend. If someone is faithful and they're that two are better than one, they're gonna help you. Like I said, they're gonna give you twice the strength, twice the understanding, twice the scriptures, twice the help. Nothing can counter that. If somebody said, I'll give you a Mercedes, brand new Mercedes Benz, but you got to stop hanging out with that faithful friend, you're not going to give that up because guess what? That friend can help you with your salvation as opposed to these material things. And his excellency is invaluable, and you can't put a price on that.
Verse 16. A faithful friend is the medicine of life, and they that fear the Lord shall find him.
Oh, Salaki, I just saw these two comments. If you want to go ahead and read that out.
Countervail is the offset to offset the effect of something by countering it with something of equal force.
Con. So when it says nothing doth countervail a faithful friend, right? Nothing can offset the effect of a faithful friend. Because a faithful friend is going to be exhorting you and provoking you to do the right thing, like we read in Hebrews 10. So if you got Satan coming over here through some other people, hey, come on, let's go hang out. Let's go smoke some weed. Let's go whatever. That's not going to offset your faithful friend. Your faithful friend is still going to be there and be like, hey, no, we can't do that, man. Like, come on. How long has it taken us to get to the point we're at? We can't be thrown off. Look how close the kingdom is. Look at all these prophecies that are coming to pass. We can't be doing that. We can't be unequally yoked. We got to be set apart. Right? Nothing is going to counter that friend. Let me see.
A faithful friend is the medicine of life, and they that fear the Lord shall find him.
Okay, calm. That's where we're at. So a faithful friend is the medicine of life, right? The medicine of life. So let's get a couple precepts on that.
Proverbs 12:18. There is that speaketh like the piercings of a sword, but the tongue of the wise is health.
So there's some people, like we said before, they say sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's a complete lie. We all know that there's been people in our life that just say something and just pierces into you, and you probably still remember, and it could be months or years and years ago, right? There's some people that speak, and their words are like the piercing of a sword. It cuts you deep in your gut, in your heart, in your stomach. But the tongue of the wise is health. When somebody has wisdom from the Bible and they speak that right word to you, they give you that right precept you needed at that time. It just gives you health. It gives you spiritual health, right? You can feel better from just hearing a precept at the right moment.
This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 16 and verse 12. For it was neither herb nor mollifying plaster that restored them to health, but thy word, O Lord, which healeth all things.
So the word is what heals all things, right? And when you have a faithful friend, they are going to give you that word, right? Their tongue is going to have wisdom in it, like it says here, and that is going to give you that health that you need. And that's why it says a faithful friend is the medicine of life, because the word here heals all things. That is the medicine that a faithful friend is going to give you. And they that fear Yahweh shall find him. When you truly fear the Most High, you're going to find that friend that fears him as well. And it's going to tell you why right now.
Sirach 6 and 17. Whoso feareth the Lord shall direct his friendship aright, for as he is, so shall his neighbor be also.
Because you reap what you sow, because birds of a feather flock together, right? If you actually fear the Most High, that's how you are. And as he is, so shall his neighbor be also. So the reason why some people or a lot of people end up hanging out with friends or courting with or marrying people that aren't faithful, that don't really follow the Most High, in the end, it's really because you don't follow the Most High, because you reap what you sow, and as he is, so shall his neighbor be also. Because the majority of people know these precepts. They know, oh, you can't be unequally yoked, or can two walk together except they be agreed? Evil communications corrupt good manners. First, coming into the truth, you learn these things. So when you really fear the Most High, you're not even gonna want to be around people that, like the sister said earlier, you're just gonna want to be set apart because you fear the Most High. So as he is, so shall his neighbor be also. Right? Um, I know this was earlier that we brought this out, but we can go ahead and read that as well.
Yeah, this is Ephesians 5 and 28. So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. He that loveth his wife loveth himself.
Um, when you have love for your wife and you're getting her to keep the commandments of the Most High, when you're teaching her, that's loving yourself as well, because y'all are one flesh spiritually, right? So that's something to keep in mind for brothers and for sisters. All right, I'm gonna send you a couple verses real quick.
Con.
So anybody have any questions, anything like that, you can put them in the comments, or if you even a testimony, anything like that. We got time today. I still got. Oh man, you're 2 hours behind, Doc. I forgot about that. Salaki, I'm already gonna say how much time I got left before I can eat.
You good?
But now it's like I was telling you. I mean, this is, and not to be prideful or nothing, but as it being the fourth, I believe, or fifth day of fourth day of atonement, this by far has been the easiest when it comes to the fasting part.
Con. Yeah, like I was telling the brother before we went live.
And that's just
Um, as you and if you're not observing it, that's fine. But if you're observing Day of Atonement, the more and more that you fast, that you discipline yourself to be in the scriptures, um, the higher you set the bar for yourself. Fasting becomes um, regular in the sense that you understand what comes with fasting, how to deal with hunger, staying in the scriptures. To some, I mean, reading 2 chapters a day, because maybe they read maybe not even a chapter or a couple verses here and there. Whereas if you study diligently, um, the Day of Atonement is, to me, I'm happy that I get to that I have time to dedicate just to fully be immersed in scriptures all day, which we should be to the best of our abilities. But like the brother was saying, I'm sure that this being the fourth one that he's kept, it gets easier and easier. Um, and it's not a prideful thing to say if it's coming in sincerity, which we know you are. We are here to encourage each other to kind of get to that level, and pushing to up that bar as well.
Most definitely. And like when you say that to raise the bar, right? It's the same thing. Like if you go to a gym and say, I mean, I don't lift that much weights because I do like martial arts and stuff like that. But if you go to a gym and you're gonna bench press something, you're not gonna start with 200, 300 pounds. You're probably gonna do the bar or 100 pounds, 125 pounds, and it's gonna seem pretty difficult to you, right? And then the more you do it, what's going to happen? You're going to build up your strength. Then sooner or later, you're doing the plates. You're doing a couple plates. You're doing more and more, and that's another good example of two are better than one. Because if you have somebody who is above you in a sense of they're stronger in the scriptures, they're stronger when it comes to fasting or in understanding, etc. They're gonna push you to get to that level. They're not going to want you to stay down at that level. They're going to help you. Okay, well, this is how I did it, right? Okay, these precepts are good for that situation. I've been in that situation before. Same thing with like lifting weights. Oh, you know what? You need to put your elbows in a little bit. You're gonna be more square. You're gonna be more. Your center of gravity is better. You could probably lift more like this. It's the exact same thing. So that's why having two are better than one, but in righteousness.
Huh.
Right. So we're gonna start in let me see.
Salakia, I know you sent that one. It says 37 and 12. Is that also Sirach 1, 2, and then verse 4 as well? Chapter 1, verse 2?
Salaki, that's all in the same. That's in chapter 37. Not
Con. Okay,
all the verses in chapter 7.
cool. All right, let me just post that one, and then we should be good.
Come. Hey, just to let you know, it was crazy. It was like a proud moment. last night, because you know how we're doing the live, and actually, I'm just gonna read it real quick. My daughters, my two older daughters, are staying with their mom this weekend because they go with her every other weekend, and
Mm-hmm.
she messaged me at 1:37 a.m. It was like maybe 10 or 15 minutes before we finished. She said, I have been watching your live since 11. I'm falling asleep while watching it, so have a good study/Day of Atonement. I love you. Good night.
Oh, that's awesome. Dang, that's late, huh? All
Con,
praises to the Most High. Yep. Train your
con,
child in the way they should go.
con. And I mean, I didn't even tell her, hey, you need to watch the live, whatever, whatever, right? She kind of surprised me, so that was a good like you said, all praise to the Most High. That was awesome.
Come, all praises. Okay, I got Sirach 11, verse 29. Bring not every man into thine house, for the deceitful man hath many trains.
Con. So the deceitful man, the deceiver, Satan and his spirits has many ways of getting to you, right? So bring not every man into your house. Physically, obviously, I've kept away people, especially now that we moved into a new place. I've had people that want to come over, worldly people, so-called friends, family, etc. And me personally, I just can't do it. I know some people are a little more lenient and things of that nature, but like me personally, that's just I won't let it happen because the deceitful man has many trains, right? But another thing to keep in mind is you're also letting people come into your house by the people you entertain, not even physically. Like everybody's got a phone, everybody uses their phone. Sometimes you ain't even gotta let somebody into your house. You could just be talking to them on the phone. You could be video chatting with them, etc. Right? And that through those that means through that device that could be one of Satan's devices, you're allowing those spirits to come into your house. Whether it be you're talking to someone on the phone and they get you angry and now you got a spirit of anger on you, whether it be like I know a sister who has struggled with in the past a long time ago, um, video chatting, and then you fall into a spirit of lust, right? All these different ways. It's much easier for Satan to enter into your house. That's why it says he has many trains. It could be you're watching a movie and there's some nudity in the movie, and now you got a spirit of lust on you, right? It could be you're watching a movie and it's something like with brujeria or Ouija board or something like that, and you're allowing all of these things into your home, right? So that's another something that we have to keep in mind.
11 and 33. Take heed of a mischievous man, for he worketh wickedness, lest he bring upon thee a perpetual blot.
Khan. So take heed to a mischievous man, for he worketh wickedness. We know more or less who are the people in our lives that work wickedness. If they're not trying to follow the word, they work wickedness. That's simple, right? But notice what it says. It says, take heed of him, or he could bring upon you a perpetual blot. Perpetual is never ending, right? In other words, you could get just by hanging out with a mischievous man or someone who works wickedness, they could get you thrown out the truth. They could get you to do something that ends up leading you to your destruction. That's a perpetual blot, right? Like in Daniel 12 and 10, it says, many will be purified and made white and tried. You can't be white if you have a perpetual blot on that white garment, that spiritual garment, right? So we have to be very, very careful and circumspect of people that are working wickedness and not bringing them into our homes.
Sirach 11:34. Receive a stranger into thine house, and he will disturb thee, and turn thee out of thine own.
Calm. So it says to be careful of the people you're bringing into your house, right? And then it says in 34, if you receive someone into your house, They will disturb you, right? Someone who's wicked, someone who's a stranger. And remember, this doesn't have to mean just someone who's not an Israelite, because even David, right after he went off with the whole thing with Uriah's wife, he said, "I am considered a stranger amongst my people." Right? So it's just anybody who is working the ways of the flesh. You bring them into your house, they're gonna disturb your spirit. They might physically disturb you as well. You're just like, man, this dude's going off, and you feel it physically, but also spiritually. They're gonna disturb you and turn you out of your own. In other words, they're gonna cause confusion. They're gonna twist you up, right? They're gonna get you out of the spirit a lot of times as well, right? Hey, shalom and shalom to young flyers and kingdom minded, right? You had a question yesterday. Oh, okay. He said he fell asleep. The brother fell asleep. It's all good. It's all good. Hey, but shalom to you as well, young high flyers. I know I had a message from you on Instagram, Mark. I'm gonna get back to you later today after today we're observing the Day of Atonement, a few of us. So after Day of Atonement, I'm gonna get back to you. Let me go back up. Where we at? Galatians.
Galatians.
Okay, come.
This is Galatians chapter 6 and verse 1. Brethren, if a man be overtaken in fault, ye which are spiritual, restore such an one in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted.
Con. So if a brother or somebody is overtaken, right? Like we said, like we read at the beginning in Ecclesiastes 4, it said, if you fall, you'll have someone to help you back up, right? If someone's overtaken in a fault, then ye which are spiritual, ye which are in the scriptures, ye which are keeping the commandments and precepts, restore such a one in the spirit of meekness. In other words, you're going to go to that brother, you know what? I've slipped up with that too in the past. And of course, it's unacceptable in the eyes of the Most High. But in this weak flesh, I can understand how you fell into that. This is how I kept myself from continuing down that path, right? But at the same time, while you're doing this, you have to consider yourself, lest you also be tempted. Because I know a brother that I used to teach with, and we were trying to bring a couple other brothers or into the truth, trying to show them the truth, right? And what happened with this brother was that I was teaching with, he started at first trying to bring one of our friends back from high school into the truth. And he had already quit smoking because he was out teaching with me, etc. So he starts hanging out with this other dude, and I was like, hey, you just got to be careful because I know he's still smoking weed. Long story short, this brother ended up trying to start by trying to bring the brother into the truth. And what happened was, instead, the man that was out of the truth brought the brother that was in the truth back into the spirit of smoking weed, doing pills, drinking, etc. So while we're doing this, we have to consider ourselves, or because we may be tempted and fall into that as well.
Bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ.
When they're falling, like it's like we read again in Ecclesiastes 4. It says if you fall, you have someone to help you up. If the me and the brother Jomar are out trying to get food in Walking Dead type of days and he sprains his ankle, I'm literally gonna help him up and I'm gonna bear his burden. He's gonna put his weight on me and he's gonna be hopping on one foot. Right? So that's physically, but then also spiritually, we bear each other's burdens, just like Hamashiach bore our sin and our transgressions, and he died for us, right?
For if a man think himself to be something when he is nothing, he deceiveth himself.
So we cannot think of ourselves to be this great, we can't be all high minded, right? It's like in verse 1 how it says, when you're helping someone, consider yourself, lest thou also be tempted. So the example I was giving earlier, the brother that I had told, I was like, look, that's cool. You want to help him out with the word, etc. But you need to be careful because I knew he had just stopped smoking. He just was getting out of that lifestyle. So hanging around people like that can be a huge temptation, right? But the brother at that time, what he told me was, no, I'm good now. Like I'm stronger in the spirit. I can handle it, right? But like it says here, Galatians 6:3, if a man think himself to be something when he is nothing, he deceiveth him on his own self. This is what happened sadly with the brother who's not even trying to keep the word anymore. Right? He thought, oh nah, I can handle it, and fell right back into that trap.
But let every man prove his own work, and then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone, and not in another.
So when someone helps you out, right, like it says in verse 1, if someone's overtaken and you're helping out, we've all been in that position where somebody else is the one helping you out, right? After that happens and they give you those scriptures, they're that faithful friend, and what do we have to do? Now you have to prove your own work. They can't, someone can give you scriptures like my rib had done for me, right? She gave me the scriptures and said, oh, here, if you could check these out. It was about weed. But then it was up to me to prove my own work and to turn away from that wickedness.
For every man shall bear his own burden.
Because in the end, even though a neighbor can help you out and bear your burden for a time, in the end, we all have to work out our own salvation.
Let him that is taught in the word communicate unto him that teacheth in all good things.
So when you're being taught or you're falling and then someone helps you out, gives you the word, you should be communicating with that person who's teaching you. You should be reaching out to them. You know what? Well, that thank you for those scriptures. Do you have anything else on this? Do you have anything else on that? Right? And then also, of course, we know the word really comes from the Most High. When he's as he's teaching you, you need to keep communication with him in prayer. You have anything on that before we go on? Up?
No, I think the sister actually had a question, but you answered it. Ashley typed it out. The very last comment from Loretta George. Um, it says, "Is explaining a scripture to the man you're courting considered as teaching, if he asks for understanding?" You pretty much covered it. Um, I'll let you explain that.
So, is explaining a scripture to the man you are courting considered as teaching if he asks for help understanding? So, this is what I've said, and you know what? I haven't said it in a while, so it's a good thing you brought it up. There's a big difference between teaching somebody, okay? So, as a man, as me personally, right, and I would say this can go for any man, especially if you're courting or if you're married, you do not want to enable that man to be lazy. Okay, so if there's a man that asks you, right, about a scripture, hey, what's your understanding? Hey, can you break this scripture down for me? In the age of information, it would be so easy for a man to go to YouTube and or YouTube search whatever that topic is, and then put KJV or put Hebrew Israelite, whatever it is, and start watching a few videos and not just go off of that, right? But then help with his understanding, get or to get that scripture, put it in Google, put cross reference KJV, and it's going to pull up a whole bunch of scriptures that pertain to that, right? So there's a big, that's just a fine line that you're going to have to find between, are you enabling him to be lazy and just ask you, or what's your understanding on this? Or is he asking in sincerity? Did he actually, okay, I'm gonna go look for myself. I'm gonna look up this verse. I'm gonna see if I can get understanding on it. I'm gonna look it up in the Hebrew in the blue letter, right? And see what the definition of each of the words means. Because that's really how you get an understanding. But then also, of course, like it says in Sirach, the first chapter, when you start keeping the commandments, then you get understanding. Right? So understanding isn't something that you just get out of nowhere too. If you could pull that up as well, like Sirach 1 and 26, Baba
Con.
Kishab, Sirach 1 and 26. But like I mentioned earlier as well, if you're courting and you're teaching a man, it's already you're already starting a role reversal, right? Before you're even married, because the man is supposed to be the one teaching.
This is Sirach chapter 1, verse 26. If thou desire wisdom, keep the commandments, and the Lord shall give her unto thee.
So if somebody is having trouble with understanding, with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, right? Are they keeping the commandments? And not only keeping the commandments, right? It's not like I'm just going to keep the commandments and boom, wisdom pops up in my head. And then there's another part to it. It's diligently searching the scriptures, right? So hopefully that answers your question.
Con, if you don't mind, I
The sister
piggyback.
said, I hope I don't forget to get the information. Go ahead, Axel.
Um, with and I'll speak from personal experience from you know from being in the truth and then coming. I was single in coming in, but when you start engaging in a courting process, you have to consider that you're going to have to self-reflect a lot, self-examine even more so, and humble yourself down to your role, whether that be the man or whether that be the woman. Now, I can say from personal experience, when I was studying for myself, I would study selflessly. I would study what was basically not for my interest, but I would be on a linear path of my studies, right? Now that I'm engaging in a courting process, I still do that, but now I'm pushed beyond my own comfort zone to now when I'm dealing with the sister that I'm talking to, when I deal with her questions, now I have to understand those and be able to explain them back in a way that they can understand. And one of the things that I did is I had to be um, less selfish and more prudent and find creative ways and not like it says in I think Proverbs 31 the 31st chapter says for the woman not to eat of the bread of idleness, but we can apply that as well. I am a lot less idle now because I'm actively always kind of studying the scriptures, whether I'm on my Bible app when I'm at work or where I'm at home. And one of the things that helped me a lot is studying together. And one of the things I would do is we would read a whole book. So, for example, we would read Matthew, and let's just say we're on chapter 3. Before we read together, I would read chapter 3 and I would precept every single verse with a precept outside of that chapter to kind of establish the foundation that that's how you study. You study precept upon precept. So we would read, let's say, a verse and it said, "I am the bread of life." Then I would go and get 3 precepts about bread. Or "I am the light." I would get precepts about light, and I would just match up the Bible, and that would increase my ability to not be idle to teach. So what I'm saying is, like we were talking about earlier, and the brother was saying, we push each other to be better. Um, you should never encourage idleness. Always reach out to brothers, of course, with his permission, to maybe guide him or even just watching lectures together, like the brother was saying. But there's a lot of ways to not be. Um, there's a lot of ways to not be. How could I say it? Out of order. You know, you have to do things decently and in order, in humility, sincerity, praying together, praying alone, and you won't be misguided by the Most High. You know, you just have to have faith, have the works, follow the commandments, like the brother just brought out that scripture, and you know, you have to trust in the Most High.
Calm, calm. The water for that. Yeah, and one of the things that you said right at the beginning that really that's a beautiful thing to say. You said in a courting process, you have to humble yourself to your role. It doesn't mean humble yourself and be taught by the woman, or humble yourself and teach your head. No, it's to your own role, because it's very clear what our roles are in, from the scriptures, right? So, like he said, you push each other, but you really are supposed to push each other to fulfill your own role. So it's like the worldly saying goes, if you give a man a fish, he'll eat a meal. But if you teach a man to fish, he'll eat for the rest of his life. So the original answer I gave you, right, it is explaining the scripture to the man you're courting, considered as teaching if he asks for help understanding. What I would say is you're giving the man a meal. You're feeding him one meal, when in reality, if he wants to be the man that you're gonna marry,
So like it looks like the brother cut off.
Salaki, cut
Oh,
off for a second. Can you hear me?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, Salakia. So if you feed the man one meal, yes, he's gonna eat. He's gonna be happy. But if you make the man learn how to fish, he is now gonna feed you for the rest of your life. So again, what I'll say is you can't expect him to be better in his role, right? If you're enabling him to not fulfill his role. And this is don't feel bad about the question or nothing like that. Like the brother said, that was a really good question. We can all learn from. And I've had many sisters ask me a question along the line of this, and the answer is always going to be the same. You have to really think about: am I enabling him, or am I helping him and pushing him to fulfill his role? Because it would be way more profitable to him and to you if you say, you know what, I know this brother, maybe you can reach out to him, he can help you out. And that brother is going to tell him, okay, this is like the brother just said, you're going to precept, you're going to cross reference, you're going to look up the meaning to words. Before you even study with your wife, you should have at least read it before to get a basic understanding. You should pray about understanding. You should be keeping the commandments in order to get that wisdom and understanding, right? So for any sisters that ever have any type of question like that, it's always going to be the same answer. It's you really got to examine yourself and think: am I enabling him? Am I giving him that one meal, or should I allow him to learn how to fish, and then he can feed the both of us, right? So let me go back up, and that goes perfectly along with two are better than one, right?
Con,
Because think about it: if two are better than one, but they're not fulfilling their role, their biblical role, then two is really not better than one, right? So let me go back up. So this was the last verse we left off on. Let him that is taught in the word communicate unto him that teacheth in all good things. So, like the brother said, everything has to be decently and in order. The man is supposed to be the one teaching the woman in a marriage. And in a courting process, you have to remember a courting process isn't like the world says it is. It's dating. Okay, could I'm just gonna sleep around with this person and see if I want to take it serious. A courting process is, can we fulfill our roles together to where we help each other reach the kingdom? Are we going to be two is better than one, or are we going to be enabling each other to just be out of order, right? So like it says here, let him that is taught the word communicate to him that teacheth all good things. The woman and the man go hand in hand, but the man should be the one teaching, and the woman is communicating and helping out as we go along, right?
This is Sirach chapter 37 and verse 12. But be continually with a godly man, whom thou knowest to keep the commandments of the Lord, whose mind is according to thy mind, and will sorrow with thee if thou shalt miscarry.
So all of your problems could be solved by this verse. Just be continually with a godly man or a godly woman if you're a brother, right? Say you're in a courting situation. Because if you're with a godly person who you know to keep the commandments, their mind is going to be according to thy mind, right? Just like we read earlier in Sirach, the sixth chapter, how it says, "As is his neighbor, so will he be." Right? When you're continually around a godly person, you're gonna start. They're gonna start to wear off on you even more. Let's say you're in the scriptures, you pray 2 times a day, you study once a day, and then you're always around this godly person, and they study 3 times a day, and now you're like, man, I'm gonna step my game up. You're like leveling up with that person, right? Whose mind is according to thy mind, and will sorrow with thee if thou shalt miscarry. And they're gonna sorrow with you and help to pick you back up, like we read in Ecclesiastes 4. If you miscarry, if you mess up, if you fall into one of Satan's traps, now they're gonna help you get back up. Whereas a worldly person is gonna make you fall into that trap. They're gonna lead you into that trap. They're not gonna be sorrowful. They're probably gonna be happy. Hey, you want to smoke weed? Oh yeah, you just hit it. Yes. Now we're both high together. Hey, you want to mess around? Yes, I got in her pants. Right? They're not gonna sorrow about that. So that's why you have to stay continually around a godly person.
Sirach 37 verse 1. Every friend saith, I am his friend also, but there is a friend which is only a friend in name.
So every single one of us that's on here and that's watches this video later can attest to this. Everybody's had a friend or many friends that is just a friend in name, right? You could call them a friend, they call you a friend. They're not really your friend though. They're envious or they hate you, or they even worse, they don't like your soul and they just lead you down the drain. They just lead you to wickedness.
Is it not a grief unto death when a companion and friend is turned to an enemy?
And it's a grief when a friend, someone you thought was a friend, is turned to an enemy. But guess what? We mentioned this earlier, a few lessons ago, when we were talking about eating the bitter and the sweet, like it says in Revelation. It said the angel gave me the book, and in my mouth it was sweet as honey. But then once it hits your stomach, once you digest it, it's bitter. Every one of us has found that bitterness when you realize that friend is actually my enemy. Because now I'm living in truth and they're just trying to lead me astray consistently over and over and over, trying to lead you against the Most High. And it, like it says, is it not a grief unto death when a companion and friend is turned to an enemy? Till your death, that friend is now an enemy, unless they die, they kill their old fleshly man and come into the truth. Because, like it says in Romans chapter 6, when you're baptized, what happens? You're killing the old man, right? So if they kill their old self and they come into the truth as well, guess what? That death is there, and now there's no more grief. Now you're walking together. Now you're agreed. right? But if not, that friend is going to be an enemy literally until your death because they're not coming into the truth.
Verse 4, there is a companion which rejoiceth in the prosperity of a friend, but in the time of trouble will be against him.
So we've all had those type of friends as well, where you have a companion and things are going good. Let's say you got some money, you got some weed. How was it, Ak? If you get a QP or a pound of weed back in the days, now everybody's your friend,
Man, I know that
right?
too. Con.
Con. I remember back in middle school, Ak, there was this one dude. We would stay to watch the girls like the volleyball games and stuff. And there was this one dude. Nobody. He didn't really have too many friends. But hey, when his food stamps came around and his mom would lend him his card and everyone was staying after school for the games, man, everybody was his friend,
Con.
right? In prosperity, they're your friend, they're your companion. You got money, you got weed, things are going good, then everyone's your friend. But then when trouble comes, when you ain't got no weed and then nobody wants to smoke you out back in the worldly days, or if you're down, you ain't got no money, and then nobody's around to help you out. That's the same thing in this truth too. Everyone wants to be your friend, but then when you're down, right? Let's say you sin, and we've talked about this before, Ak, like you can sin and maybe it's something real small, but you're in the spirit, so you're like, damn, and it's just eating you up, right? You're like, man, I'm never gonna do that again. I shouldn't have done that. When you're
Con.
down like that, a worldly person ain't gonna help you out. They don't care about that. That's
Nah,
nothing to them. They do that type of stuff every day without even thinking about
they'll just say, man, it's just pepperoni.
it. Con, con. I eat it all the time. It's just a little weed. It's just a little porn. It's just whatever, right? They don't care. So let's keep going.
Romans chapter 15 and verse 1. We then that are strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak and not to please ourselves. Con.
Con. So some people are stronger than the others, and this is what we have to understand, especially in a courting relationship, right? Or in a marriage. Us men have to always understand that the woman is the weaker vessel, which is why we have to be there for them and we have to be able to comfort them with the scriptures, which is also why a man is supposed to be the head and be the one teaching, because as a woman she is weaker, and as the man we have to help to bear that weakness and that infirmity, right? But then also just men across the board or women across the board, there's certain people that are stronger in the spirit, especially when it comes to different things. Like I've told many brothers before, I when I was younger, when I was like in high school, I had a problem with porn, right? But now to me, like that's nothing. I haven't watched porn in years and years, so it's papitas, like they say, right? But for some brothers, that's a huge struggle, right? Some people it's weed, some people it's keeping Sabbath. We're all strong in different areas, and the Most High builds you up as you're moving in sincerity and in humility and studying the scriptures and diligently going through the scriptures, right? Because the more knowledge you get on a certain topic in a certain area, and the more you have it written in the table of your heart, like it says in Proverbs, you're going to be able to go to those in time of trouble, right? It's going to build up your faith, it's going to build up your will. But like it says here, um, we then that are strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak. We need to help them out. It's like if I was okay, I'm about to go and eat with my family, and a brother calls me, hey man, I'm really struggling with this. Can you help me out? I'm about to give in to this temptation, etc. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna have to pause there for a second. I'm gonna have to help to bear that iniquity or that infirmity. of that weakness, right?
This is Romans 15:2. Let every one of us please his neighbor for his good to edification.
So we're going to help our neighbor and help to please him, and not please him like in a worldly, fleshly type of way, but because it's good to his edification. Going to edify him and bring him the word. Like we read earlier in Sirach chapter 6, how it talks about a faithful friend is the medicine of life. How do you help to please him and to give him that medicine? It's edifying them. You have anything you want to say on that, Art?
Now that's a really really good scripture. I think Romans 15:2 should definitely be at the forefront because, like you said, many people are strong in different categories, and we are all members of Christ, of the body of Christ, right? So some people may be
Con,
better teachers than others, some may be better communicators, uh some may have a really good breakdown but can't break it down to a large audience, so maybe they could break it down like, Moses wasn't really like the speaker, but Aaron was the speaker, so the
con,
Most High dealt with Moses to communicate it to Aaron, which then, he had that gift. Same thing with all of us, different people have different blessings like they can help each other out with. So I think Romans 15:2 should definitely be noted. If you guys take notes or if you take anything away, definitely a very important scripture.
con, most definitely. And that's a good point as well. I'm gonna post a scripture real quick.
Con,
That's a good point about Moses and Aaron, because we all, like you said, we're all a part of the body, but we all have different uses, right?
con. This is James chapter 3 and verse 1. My brethren, be not many masters, knowing that we shall receive the greater condemnation.
So we all have to know our role and our placement and our use of the Most High, right? Like me, for example, um, y'all, if you look through all my lives, or those of y'all that have been like following along for a while as we're teaching, my rib kind of pointed out yesterday too. She was like, "You, I don't think you've really done lives on prophecy." Like, right, we could go into the Daniel prophecy about the dream of Nebuchadnezzar, and how it's talking about, the different kingdoms, the head being Babylon, and then the chest and the shoulders is the two part, the Meso-Persian empire, and all the way down, right? We could go into that, but what I told her is like, I feel like there's other brothers that could break it down better than me, and I could break it down for you, right? But me personally, being a man that has a family, I stay more to, I guess you could say, more personal issues, or a better way of putting it, not a personal issue but a salvation issue, right? Because we could go into prophecy, that I could do that, but prophecy, knowing how to break down Daniel, knowing how to break down the prophecies in Ezekiel, Revelation, etc., that's not going to get you into the kingdom. Not that it's not important to know, but you're not going to be on the day of judgment and be like, yeah, Abba, did you see how I broke down the Nebuchadnezzar's dream? Did you see how I broke down Ezekiel chapter 31? That's not what's going to get you into the kingdom. What's going to get you into the kingdom is following the word to the best of your ability, right? So me personally, I brought out this scripture because it says, "Be not many masters." You can't be a master of everything, right? And in MMA, this is a concept that even me to this day, like when I'm teaching somebody, I'll tell you, like, if they want to learn just Muay Thai, they want to learn just wrestling, just jujitsu, that's fine if you want to do that. But at the same time, you're going to be weaker in a certain area. You understand what I'm saying? So, like in MMA, it's mixed martial arts. You want to get a basic understanding of everything first, then you can go on to try to start to perfect certain areas to be more balanced. But me personally, I don't want to be a master of. I'm not going to teach all these different things when I could stick to what's more important. Which to me, the people that you keep around you affects you greatly. All it takes is one person being around you, right? Like it says, one sinner destroyeth much good. So that and family and playing our roles in a family unit, that's very important to me. So that's what I stick to. Because like it says here, knowing that we shall receive the greater condemnation. You're gonna be judged by all those different things you were trying to teach and trying to push, when you should stick to, again, me being a family man, I stick to the roles as a man, especially the role as a woman, right? Then courting as well, and children, things of that nature, husbandry, whether it be physically, spiritually, in a family, whatever.
Con.
You
All
want to add
praises.
anything to that? Art?
Nah, you did a great job. It doesn't hurt to, be balanced, and versed in the doctrine of the scripture, um, understanding who we are as a people. And there's brothers who I personally look to when I'm curious about a prophecy or things of that nature. They break it down really well. They do the labor and the studying so that we can read from that, right? But then there's brothers, that I lean towards my day-to-day edification, where I'm dealing with things that are just basic for my salvation, like bearing the fruits of the spirit, how to conduct myself dealing with so many people that you know um test my patience daily. How do I deal with things like that? Prophecy doesn't really help me in that area per se. Whereas if I'm getting yelled at and I can't control my spirit, you know they can break down Daniel, or they can break down Obadiah or whatever, but that doesn't help me to control my spirit, so that it's not like like so that I'm not overtaken by wrath. And there's brothers who talk, who are really good at breaking that stuff down. So it's really good to be balanced. However, you gotta understand that we are different members of the body, and that's why it's crucial for people to kind of understand their roles.
Exactly. And roles. That's why it's crazy to me that some people will teach, if you're not doing it like us, you won't make it to the kingdom. That's like saying we all got to be arms. We're part of the body, but we all got to be legs. We all got to be eyes. That doesn't make any sense, right? So, like the brother said, it's good to, again, I'm not saying anything bad about prophecy, stuff like that. I probably will do maybe a few prophecy videos in the future, but I wanted to make sure I have at least one study on all the main, like, salvation type of issues, right? Which, if you go through all the ones we've been doing over the past like year, if you look at pretty much all of them, are singular or personal salvation type of issues, right? Whether it be honoring your parents, whether it be keeping the Sabbath, whether it be controlling your spirit, whether it be anger, all those types of things. It's stuff that you personally can apply day to day,
Con.
right? Let me see. So, brothers, the brother said the water it's related to the topic. Um, I hope I don't forget to get the information from you later. I will message you at 8. Okay, Khan. Um, how do you deal with someone who doesn't see baptism the same that you do, but they have a good spirit? Okay, Khan. So I've dealt with this personally, and brothers deal with different things differently, obviously. Um, the first thing I would say, if you could get Second John 1:10, I think it's 10 and 11. Let me see. Yeah, Second John 1, 10 and 11, Baba Kashaw.
Um,
And then I believe you posted a good verse in the private chat as well. I'm gonna get it real quick.
this is Second John chapter 1 and verse 10. If there come any unto you and bring not this doctrine, receive him not into your house, neither bid him Godspeed. For he that biddeth him Godspeed is partaker of his evil deeds.
So me personally, okay, when I see this verse, a big part of Yahushai's doctrine was baptism. You can't say it wasn't because he got baptized himself, right? His disciples got baptized. They were baptizing people. That's a big part of his doctrine, of Yahushua's doctrine and the doctrine that the disciples and Israel was living by, right? So me personally, and this has happened before as well. Right after I got baptized, and I posted about it, right? And I didn't post it because, oh, look at me, I got baptized. I did it in hopes that it would help someone else to either question it, like, wait, okay, so do we need to get baptized? And maybe let me look into it, right? Or so that it would, like we just read in Hebrews, the 10th chapter, we're supposed to provoke each other to good works. If Yahushua was baptized, that was a good work, right? Yahushua didn't do no bad works. So baptism was a good work. So when people come to you and they have a different doctrine, their doctrine is no, you don't have to get baptized. Like I said before, right after I got baptized, there was a brother I was gonna do a lesson. There was a couple brothers I were gonna do some lessons with, and before the lesson, we're kind of talking about it. Okay, we're just gonna go over this. I have these precepts. If y'all have any precepts, you could bring them out too, whatever. And then one of the brothers asked, okay, well, what if the topic of baptism comes up, right? And I was like, well, if the topic comes up, then I mean, I'm gonna I'm gonna prove all things, right? I'm gonna prove why I was baptized, why I believe in baptism, and I'm gonna show the precepts. And then the brothers were like, well, you know what? That's not what we believe. That's not what our organization or camp goes off of. So maybe it's better if we just don't. Let's just not do the lesson, right? And that's fine. We went our own ways, and that's all. Man's going to the Most High, right? But me personally, that was a learning experience for me as well, because it's like this: if me and the brother Jomar are teaching, right? Let's say we're teaching, and the topic comes up, we're supposed to be on one accord. So how am I going to be teaching? Someone asks about baptism, and I say, yeah, look, here are these scriptures. We're supposed to walk as he walked, as Yahushua walked. Look, he was baptized. It says right here, it was a good thing. It pleased the Most High when he was baptized. And then these other brothers come on and say, no, well, you see, you're baptized by the word. Ephesians chapter 5. They bring out one verse. And we're not on the same accord. So our doctrine is definitely different, right? So by us, let's say we're teaching or whatever, or let's say that he gets asked first and he says, no, you don't have to be baptized. You can if you want to, but you don't have to. And then I don't say nothing, right? Now I'm partaking in that, right? And this is something that I've seen many brothers do. I've counseled with brothers over the last year or two, and they were in certain camps and they decided to leave certain camps because they had a difference in doctrine. And then I've ran into brothers that it's the opposite. They're like, you know what, that makes sense, Ak. I do believe in baptism, but I'm staying in this camp. So you have to understand that what you are a part of, you are a part of. If you're literally physically a part of a camp, you are literally physically a part of spreading that false doctrine, if that's your understanding, right? So, but at the same time, we have to keep this in mind.
1 John 4 and 20. If a man say, I love God, and hateth his brother, he is a liar. For he that loveth not his brother whom he hath seen, how can he love God whom he hath not seen?
So this goes perfectly with Leviticus 19, how it says you're not supposed to bear a grudge against anybody, against your neighbor. It's not that I hate any of those brothers. It's not that I hold a grudge against any of them, but it is that we can't. How can we teach if we have a difference of doctrines, right? And I'll give you an example, right? One time, probably a year or more than a year ago, I saw Sakari and Sons of Thunder teaching. Okay, and I believe I don't know the order that they went in because of the way they chopped up the video, but one of them were teaching about the Sabbath. Sakari, there was a brother from Sakari teaching about the Sabbath, and someone asked about the Sabbath. Yeah, well, do we keep the Sabbath? Blah blah blah. They were explaining how you keep the Sabbath and those types of things, right? Now they didn't explain how Sakari goes off of the moon or the lunar calendar. So then it was the same day, but it was a different video where Sons of Thunder was teaching. And just so happens they were teaching about the Sabbath as well. And what they said was, yeah, Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. And they got Sakari dudes standing guard, right? Around him. So you have to understand they have different doctrines. So how could you, as someone who believes in your doctrine, believes in what your camp or your congregation, organization, affiliation, whatever, believes, but then you're gonna stand by, you're gonna stand idly by while someone else teaches against what you're teaching. You get what I'm saying? So me
Con.
personally, I would never put myself in that position to be, in a sense, you're being a hypocrite because you're teaching one thing or you're believing one thing, but then you're standing by while someone else teaches your people something different.
Yeah, because I got the same understanding, but the brothers I congregate with didn't see it and we had conflict.
Khan. So we know Yahushua is coming to bring what? To bring
Division.
division, right? And the closer he gets to it, the more Khan, the more division is going to happen. And that's fine. And you know what? I've talked to brothers before, and think about this for a second. We did a lesson a while back. It was months and months ago, but about the wilderness, right? When we go into the wilderness before the kingdom, and Yahushua said, "They that will not have me reign over them, bring them here and slay them before me." Right? What if there were some brothers that at that point in time, it's like, okay, y'all were keeping the law, statutes, commandments, precepts to the best of your ability, but you've never been baptized. You need to get baptized to enter into the kingdom. And there's some brothers that, nah, I don't believe in baptism, prideful. And then maybe there's some that get baptized. You never know how the Most High works, right? It's all in His timing. But I guarantee you that the people now that the majority of them that I have talked to, they just don't want to accept it because of pride, because they've been taught differently. And I was like that at the beginning too. That's why I can tell you this honestly, because I can attest to it. I learned and talked to, like I said yesterday, I talked to one of the elders from Sons of Thunder. I talked to Priest Zabak. I talked to one of the elders from Sakari. I talked to one dude who would help run the camp of GMS, and they all said they told me the exact same thing. You know, you don't need to be baptized, but you can be baptized if you want to, but you don't need to. But then later on, as the Most High opened up my understanding, and I was like, wait a second though, Yahushua is the perfect example,
Con.
and we're supposed to walk like he walked, right? So it is going to bring conflict. But the best thing you can do for them at this point, if you already tried to break it down to them, is just to pray for them. That's the best thing you could do at this point. Eloy Espinosa, shalom. Hope you're having a good one in the spirit. Exactly what you're explaining is what I explained to them. Identical situation. Calm. I feel you out. And remember, the person who leaves houses, friends, family, in the end, you're gonna receive 100-fold, and most high willing inherit the kingdom, right? So that's not saying you gotta leave. You gotta just stop completely dealing with the brothers, right? But what I would say is, when it comes to teaching, you don't want to put yourself in the position to be a hypocrite, right? And as a matter of fact, if you could get what is it? Jeremiah 15 and 19, Knock.
Con.
Jeremiah 15 and 19. Count the water Ak for this message, but for this, I'll message you on Instagram. Khan, all praise to the Most High. The elder Hawiyala and Azariah told me the same thing. Okay, Khan. Yeah, those two brothers played a big they played an intricate part in me getting baptized as well. So all praises for that.
This is Jeremiah 15 and 19. Therefore, thus said the Lord, if thou return, then will I bring thee again, and thou shalt stand before me.
Salakia.
And if thou take forth the precious from the vial, thou shalt be as my mouth. Let them return unto thee, but return not thou unto them.
Okay. So it says there's a couple points to make it right. So it says, therefore, thus saith Yahweh, if thou return, then will I bring thee again. Meaning, if you return to the Most High in sincerity, right, then he will bring you again back into his presence, back into his favor. You start keeping the laws, he'll start blessing you again. And thou shalt stand before me. And if thou take forth the precious from the vial, thou shalt be as my mouth, right? So it's a precious thing when you start walking in the word of the Most High. He sees that as precious. But once you start doing that, you have to do all the things we've been saying previous to this. You have to remove yourself from the vial, right? What is the vile? That's the nasty, the evil, the wicked. You got to take yourself forth from the presence of those types of people. You got to be what? Set apart. Like the sister was saying earlier. Leviticus 20 and 26. You have to be holy as the Most High is holy. You have to be set apart as He is set apart. He's set apart from the evil. The light is set apart from the darkness. If we're trying to be precious in the sight of the Most High, we got to be set apart from those living wickedly. Then it says, let them return unto thee, but return not thou unto them. Right? So if someone wants to go off from the Most High, from his ways, from his doctrine, right? You let them. You if you give them a scripture, hey, you know that's going off, blah blah blah, and they don't take heed to it, right? It's like Titus 3 and 10 says, a man that is a heretic after the second admonition, reject him. But it says here, let them return unto thee, but return not thou unto them. If they're starting to live wickedly and wickedly and wickedly, you corrected them already. You're not just gonna keep going back to them. Oh, come on, man, let's hang out. Let's whatever. No, you let them return to you if it's the Most High's will. If they come and they're, hey man, I know I messed up. I'm trying to get back in the scriptures. I'm trying to walk that narrow path. I'm messing up. That's fine. Then you let them return to you. try the spirit, of course, but then you start helping them with the scriptures again, right? So, speaking to the brother, young high flyers, when it comes to baptism, you got to expect, and because I know this from personal experience and other brothers as well that have told me, you got to expect brothers to cut you off. You got to expect brothers to, they're gonna leave from you, right? And if it's the Most High's will, they'll return unto you, right? That doesn't mean hold a grudge, be disrespectful, etc. But at the same time, we got to please the Most High over men, right? That's the most important thing. Let me go back up. I know there's a couple comments, but yeah, this is one of my favorite scriptures when it comes to when you have friends, family, whatever, etc. That that leaves the truth or doesn't want to follow it, right? Let them return unto thee, but return not thou unto them. So the sister Loretta, do you want to read that out?
Help each other reach the kingdom, not be an enabler. And I think she was referring to when you were talking about the two camps that were, talking about, one was talking about keeping the Sabbath, but they talk about the lunar. And then you got the other brothers who were just on standby, but they keep the Friday Eve to Saturday Eve. But yeah, we should definitely not be enabling. So help each other reach the kingdom, not an enabler, which goes back to your first question that you had asked. And that's like the true meaning of application, about your first question. So, Khan, all praises to the Most High.
Con. That's a good point. Um, Let me see. So Con, like you said, for full circle. When will you brothers be part partaking in Feast of Tabernacles? I'd love to prepare for it. So we're keeping Feast of Tabernacles Thursday, this coming Thursday, which is what, the 21st to
Um,
the
yeah,
28th. Con Thursday, the 21st at sundown till October 28th, which is Friday, would be the closing. So, and if you message me on Instagram, I could send you the list that I got of the holy days. Count the water. Okay, I already read that one. Let me see the water for posting that in chat.
brother, hopefully I'm not out of line, but does your rib or any sisters who are in the truth offer counsel for other sisters?
She's talking to you out.
I'll let you take this
No, I'm
one
just
out.
playing. Um, my rib has counseled with some females, but it's like we were talking about earlier, right? Or like the brother Joma was talking about. My rib is more of a Moses type. Not that she can't speak, but she doesn't like to that much. If you're having, I believe you're the sister that said you're recording, right? She I'm pretty sure she would if you need a sister to talk to, she'll be able to talk to you. But because she really only likes to give advice when it comes to marriage, teaching your children, keeping the house in order, things of that nature, right? Because when you read in Titus 2, Titus, the second chapter, verses 3 through 5, that's really what a woman is supposed to do, right? She's there to teach how to love her husband, how to love her children, how to keep all the things that she's supposed to be doing. That's what she should be teaching. It's like sisters that teach about prophecies and teach about all these different things. In reality, that's not the way it's supposed to be. There's plenty and plenty of men that teach this and break it down, um, and that's their role. That's what they're supposed to be doing, right? But if you message me on Instagram, I believe you're not married, right? I think you're the sister that said you're recording. I could put you in contact with my rib. My question. What's your question, Knock? Let me see. You said it's posted it. Oh, okay, it's way up here. Um, you want to read it out, Baba Kashaw?
Uh, my brother told me that he don't hang out, that he don't probably like to hang out because we are not in the same page, which I believe I'm in the truth and he's not. But the argument was on something different. But from a spirit stand, it looked I'm not sure, like the Most High did split us up. That does happen. When that happened, I started to feel wary. How do you deal with that? You gotta understand, like the brother said, that when you start following the word of Christ, when you start following the scriptures, when you start living it out, there will be division. There will be division. Um, the first people to go are friends who are not in the truth, friends who don't want to follow scripture, who want to continue to live in sin. You know, those are the first to go. Then you start seeing division with the people who you kind of like see on a day-to-day basis, which are usually family. um and when that starts to happen, you just gotta be firm. Make sure you have a strong foundation and deal with it with patience, because they are your brothers, and you have to learn how to teach, perhaps not in a way where you're scolding them to believe what you believe, but to live out the scriptures and see how it benefits you in your life, how it improves versus how you were perhaps when you were living in sin. But that's definitely going to happen. Is definitely going to happen. There will always be that division that occurs, and that's just from personal experience. I'll let the brother add on to that.
Khan, I think you got it. I mean, like you said, so-called friends, which you're gonna realize later on, if you're sincere in this truth, once you start cutting off those friends and even family members, you're gonna realize how much they were weighing you down, right? Like the so-called friends I had before the truth, all we would do was smoke weed, right?
Kind of cut off on.
Salaki, can you hear me out?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, cut off for a second there. Um, Me, for example, the friends that I would hang out with, so-called friends before the truth, all we would do is smoke weed. Or we wait till the nighttime and we go rob stuff. We go rob people, whatever. We would just be doing a whole bunch of wickedness. We go out to parties and do even more wickedness, right? So it sounds cliche, like they say in the world, but elevation requires separation. If you want to elevate spiritually, and when I say elevate, I mean get closer to the Most High. He is the Most High. So imagine Him up high, and you got to elevate to get closer to Him spiritually. That does require separation, and that's why we're required, according to the law, to be separate, to be set apart. Right? Did you read that comment out?
God, yeah, it made me smile. All praises to the Most High.
Khan. My 2-year-old and my 4-year-old sing that. They sing that all the time. I am who I am. Yeah.
Matthew 19:29. And everyone that hath forsaken houses, or brethren, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands for my name's sake shall receive an hundredfold and shall inherit everlasting life.
So this is the Most High speaking through Yahushai, because if he, this is red letter, he's saying, if you leave behind houses, a lot of times, hey, I've talked to many brothers and sisters that they had to leave where they were living in order to be set apart, in order to follow the Most High. It was too much for them to handle. The spirit, too many spirits. They had to forsake houses, and they did that. And I sent them this verse. There's people that had to leave brothers, sisters, fathers, mothers, people, right? Even husband or wife or children. That's a tough one right there, right? That's a tough one right there. To be willing to lose your children. I remember, I'll give y'all a quick testimony. And maybe my one of my daughters is watching right now. She said she was going to. So a while back, hopefully she don't get mad. A while back, one of my daughters was watching too much of the internet. Okay, and she made a comment to her mom saying that she was do you remember what the word that I told you, Ak, or no? uh
She did what, Salakia?
she said that she was damn, what is the word? I think it's pansexual or one of those,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, it was that.
something like that. She didn't even know what it meant. I honestly didn't even know what that meant. All right. So I had a conversation with her and I told her, look, you don't even know what that means. You're not even old enough to understand that concept. You've been watching too much YouTube at your mom's house, been watching too much wickedness, right? And from there, I said, look, if you're going to continue to think that you're that, you're going to continue to not want to follow. At that point in time, she didn't want to follow the scriptures, etc. I said, you're going to have to move with your mom because I have full custody of them, right? And she kind of gave me a face, whatever, and then she said, "All right." So long story short, all praise to the Most High. Soon after that, she came out of that phase. She said she was just trying to get attention, basically, or she was mad. And now she likes wrapping her hair. She likes studying. She's her understanding has opened up so much more when we study. She's answering questions. I'll ask the way I teach with my household is I ask questions. Okay, what do you think this means? What do you think that means? And she's giving me answers like I didn't even know she had that kind of understanding. And of course, that's all praises to the Most High, right? But just to
Con,
go along with this verse, me and my rib were talking about it. How it's crazy. It's like how Abraham. We are talking about it last night on the live. How Abraham was willing to give up his son, right? But the Most High was faithful to him, and he didn't even make him do it. He just tested his faith, and then okay, you proved yourself, you proved your faith, right through that work. So I feel like it was a test for me as well. Me and my rib were talking about it, like being willing to give up your child. Okay, you know what? You're gonna have to go live with your mom. You're not gonna be following this word. And for a while, it was like, damn, I don't want my daughter to live with my mom, with her mom, right? She's way better off with us here. Her mom ain't living
con.
by the scriptures, etc. But the Most High was faithful. He tested us, and we were able to pass that trial. And then He gave her a totally different spirit, like night and day, not literally like night and day. Khan, all praise to the Most High for that. But like it says, you have to be willing to forsake houses, brethren, children, father, mother, wife, lands, for my name's sake, for the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. And then when you're able to do that and you're truly being set apart and doing it for the right reason, most high willing, we get to inherit that everlasting life, which is the ultimate goal for all of us. Right?
Um, everlasting life. If a known camp charges you to go join or a monthly subscription, is that lawful?
You know what? There's only one. That's funny that you bring that up, Ak, because That's what's going down right now. That's what's happening with a lot of camps. So that's what's happening with a lot of camps. They call it paying your dues, right? Paying your dues. If you could pull up buy the truth and sell it not as well, that's a good precept you just put up too. But you'd be surprised at how many camps are doing this. And like I've mentioned before, when me and another brother and a couple brothers would go out and teach and stuff, there was a couple of large camps that reached out to us, and I'm talking about two of the most big or biggest camps you could think of that reached out to us, and hey, you should be an affiliate of us. Hey, we just have this test you have to pass, whatever, right? But then it came down to that, like, well, you're gonna have to pay this much, and we'll send y'all some information, some booklets, etc. But you're gonna have to be paying us this much. And right there, that already seemed off. Not to mention, like how I mentioned earlier to the brother um, that asked the question about different doctrines. There was also differences in doctrinal beliefs, so we just couldn't do it. Right.
Matthew 21:13. This is Yahushai, and said unto them, It is written, My house shall be called the house of prayer, but ye have made it a den of thieves.
Con, con. So think about it. We're the temple where we're gathered. It's a church, right? And the Holy Spirit's in the midst of where we're gathered in His name. So why would you, like, if you really break it down, if you they charge you to be a part of a camp, they're charging you to go out in public and stand around and be a part of the church. How would that make sense to you? In a public space too, mind you, in a park, in a street, something like that. So you're being charged to stand around with these brothers and hear the word, or to stand guard, or to bring out the word, or to read the word if you're a reader, etc. Right? And one of the brothers that initially wanted us to be an affiliate of them, right? What he said was, well, we're gonna send y'all t-shirts. We're gonna send y'all our t-shirts, and we're gonna send you information like pamphlets, stuff like that. So that's why we charge you. So I can understand that maybe like the first, okay, let me give you some money for the shirts, right? Or one of them said we'll even send you the camp posters. You know how they all have posters? We'll send you that. But then once it becomes like, okay, we sent you that, you're gonna keep sending us money though. Next month, the next month, the next month, next year. That's to me that's completely off, right?
Proverbs 23:23. Buy the truth and sell it not. Also wisdom and instruction and understanding.
So you can look at this either spiritually or physically. And but if we're talking about it physically, you're not gonna go and buy the truth. You wouldn't go. Imagine if brothers were out there teaching and they were like, no, you can't hear unless you put some money in this bucket, right? That would be selling the truth. But the same thing, if you can't charge people for hearing the word, the majority of people in camps, what are they out there doing? They're standing around and they're just hearing the word. Because you know there's one or two or maybe three main speakers, and all the other brothers are just listening, right? And standing guard, but they're listening. So in a sense, you're still selling the truth. You're gonna pay me money to come and stand next to me and hear the word, right? And now you get to be called a part of my camp, etc. And instruction, and then you can look at it spiritually as well, right? You buy the truth by following the commandments, like we read earlier, Sirach 1:26. You're investing yourself into doing that. You buy the truth by being in the scriptures every day, diligently searching the scriptures. right? By your using your time, you're paying, because remember, time is the most valuable commodity. It's more valuable than money. You can't buy time. Therefore, it's more valuable than money. So you're buying the truth by investing time into learning, right? So that's how
Uh,
we get that wisdom, instruction, understanding. Um, Eloy Espinosa, what is the significance of wrapping your head, or am I thinking too much? Do you mean by brothers, or do you mean sisters? Do you mean brothers or sisters? I'll wait for you to answer that, and then I'll answer your question. Khan brothers selling their breakdowns on Patreon and pay per view. Khan, man, I saw that. What was it? Who was it? Was it Sakari
I was. I
that's
think
doing
you
a
and
pay
I
per
were.
view?
Yeah, I think you and I were talking about that.
Did you see that?
I know he has a Patreon channel, where you can see it's supposed to be, like the unedited version that doesn't isn't allowed on YouTube. I subscribe to a lot of his. I used to watch a lot of his videos. Sometimes I'll put them on. However, I mean, if you're paying for the Patreon to watch the members in camp uh slapping people or punching people or things of that nature, I mean, that speaks for itself. You really don't have to break that down. Yeah.
Khan, Khan, that really speaks for itself, and really, that shows who's got eyes to see and ears to hear. Because if you can't tell, if you can't tell that something's not holy when somebody is, cussing somebody out when they should be teaching, when they should be, and they're slapping people in the face, or beating people up and things of that nature, and they're supposed to be representatives of the Most High. And not only that, it would be one thing if it was like you're walking down the street and someone insults you or tries to get physical with you, you defend yourself, something like that. But when you're preaching the word of the Most High and then falling into those situations, like you should already know what that is, right? We're
Con,
supposed to be as wise as serpents, but as harmless as doves, and that's completely the opposite of that. And then on top of it, you're selling that, right? That goes to show who's got eyes to see and ears to hear. Um, so I'm waiting for you, Eloy, Mr. Espinosa. You talking about brothers or sisters? I got some verses for either one. Either one. Loretta George, yes, brother. So Khan. So yeah, if you can see that and you know what it is, then give all praise to the Most High. Thank the Most High, because many people can't see that. Many
con.
people can't see that.
And I've seen
Um,
videos of said members that talk about, you know, hating what the Most High hates. Sure, I understand that. But I mean, blessed are those who have the eyes to see and ears to hear. It's just that just comes with the discernment and understanding, being humble. Vengeance belongs to the Most High.
Khan, for sure. And yeah, like you said, like Amos, what Amos 5:15, that was one of the first verses that I memorized coming in the truth. It says, hate the evil, love the good.
Uh-huh. You cut off, or I don't know if you're not speaking. Saw Ivan show up. Shalom,
Can you
shalom,
hear me?
Ivan. Khan, I can hear you now. The brother asked the question for both.
Can you hear me, Ak?
I can hear you now. Come.
Okay, calm. Salakia. My internet, like some of y'all may not know, I got satellite internet because we don't have any type of cable internet out here where I live, so it cuts in and out sometimes. But calm. Just to piggyback off the point you made, hate the evil, love the good, establish judgment at the gates. That's Amos 5:15. We are to hate the evil, but at the same time, we're supposed to be harmless as doves, like Yahushua said. Vengeance belongs to the Most High, right? And that's enough on that. Like we said, if you have eyes to see, you're gonna know what that is. Um, hey, shalom, Ivan, shalom. It's all good. Little late. It's all good. Um, so the brother said both? Question mark. Are you asking me or are you telling me both? Not sure how to ask that. Who they slapping? They're just slapping whoever they want to slap. Whoever gets in their way. Whoever don't like what they're saying. Right?
That's
It
right.
could be
That's
it
you know
could
what?
be a
That's a
white
good
a white
question. That's a good question. You should ask them that. Who is that? How do you know?
con. You never know. That could be a white chocolate covered Israelite that they slapped.
Could be a
You never know.
messenger.
But we'll judge by appearance though, and we'll just call it based on con. Con. But yeah, so the brother I said about head covers. So without getting too much into it, there are scriptures that say a woman is supposed to when she prays or prophesies is supposed to she's supposed to have her head covered.
Con,
Then on the
brother.
other hand, can you hear me out?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, Salakia. Yeah, we're probably just gonna get a couple more scriptures, and then I'll go ahead and close it out. But tomorrow we'll definitely give one, do a live as well. Go ahead, out.
First Corinthians 11:5. But every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered dishonoreth her head, for that is even all one as if she were shaven.
Calm. So a woman's hair is her glory, according to the scriptures, right? So a woman having a shaved head is a dishonor to her, right? The Most High gave you that hair, gave a woman that hair to be a covering of her head and to be a glory to her. So it says if a woman doesn't have her head covered while she's praying or prophesying, right? When she's telling another sister about the scriptures, telling her children about the scriptures, etc., and her head is not covered, she is dishonoring her head. Now, if she's married, she's dishonoring her husband. That's her immediate head. If she's not married, she's dishonoring Yahushai, the Most High, right? And even when you look into cultures, different cultures around the world, even the Israelites, but also Ishmaelites, Muslims, Islamic people, things of that nature. When you have your head covered for a lot of cultures back in the days, it showed that you were married. It showed that you were covered. Even if you're not married, if you're courting, right? It showed that you were covered, like I'm not available, basically. Right? So some women take it even farther to where they wear it at all times, not just when they're praying or prophesying. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's no law that says you have to do that. But again, like we brought out in First Corinthians 14:37, if you're spiritual, to take these things as the commandments of the Most High. So when you're praying, prophesying, a woman should have her head covered. Like in my house, that's a given. They already know. Oh, we're gonna study. Okay, let me go get my head wrap, or let me go get handkerchief or whatever you call it, right? So that's why sisters wear it. Now, again, if they want to take it farther and just show that they're covered at all times and have their heads covered, then that's on them. More power to them if they want to do that, right? If a man tells, with my rib, I'll tell her, if there's any other men around, like I would like for her to wear it. It's just a sign of being covered, right? But then men, on the other hand, if you go into Exodus, if you could get 39 and hold on, Salaki 29 and 6,
Con.
29 and 6. For the men, there's many verses dealing with men having their head not covered, but having meters, right?
Exodus 29 and 6. And thou shalt put the meter up upon his head, and put the holy crown upon the meter.
And then if you could get Leviticus 8 and 9, we'll just give two examples real quick.
Con.
There's some examples in Exodus, Leviticus, Zechariah, of back in the day, the Hebrew Israelite men, especially the priests, would wear meters on their head.
And he put the meter upon his head, also upon the meter, even upon his forefront, did he put the golden plate, the holy crown, as the Lord commanded Moses.
Con. And later on, you know what? I have a book. Let me see. It's not in this room, but I have a book that I'll go ahead and post it later on if you're following me on Instagram. What the priests would wear back then, and it has a picture. Okay, Khan, the brothers got it. Garments of the high priest, and it'll show you everything they wear. It got the ephod in the middle, right? It has the inscription on his forehead. What book is that, Ak?
The scriptures.
Oh, okay, Khan. I have
Sir.
another one. I don't know which book it's in. I have a few Bible dictionaries, and there's one that's in color as well. So I'll post both of those actually.
I have the other one. Con.
But yeah, so that's what that's why the females and the men wear them, right? And what the brothers wearing right now, that's basically considered, that's like a modern day meter. You know what I mean?
Con. You know what's crazy is I'll bring this out just because it kind of relates. How you were talking about the different symbolisms between back in the day when women would wear their coverings and what they would mean. Even today around the world, when they're fully covered, it just means they're married, or different symbols to show they're courting. It was super interesting. My mom was doing a study, because she's a writer, so she was doing a study on, in Spanish it's called a rebozo. It's like a really long, it's like a really long, uh it's almost like a long blanket. And women in Mexico, like in the centers, they would wear it. If they would wear it across, it would mean like, they're either courting. If they would wear the same one but wrapped over the head, they were married. If they would wear it a certain way, it means they're widowed. So there was different things that the women in Mexico would use their coverings for, which is interesting. And even before, like a lot of the times, we have these traditions that we don't even know where they come from. We're just drawn by the spirit. Um, we've lost identity, but something within our spirit tells us to do things. And before I learned about the meter, I was always kind of wearing. When I started growing my hair, I started wearing head wraps, like just bandanas and stuff like that. Um, and it just kind of stuck. But yeah, there's always the things that lead us by the Spirit, and then once you learn about it, you become more inclined to do them.
Con. Yeah, that's a good point. That's cool. Uh, so did she write something about it, or she's planning to?
I think she wrote she did a presentation at a university here. I think she might have done a poem, or a poem or a script. She wrote something about it. I'll ask her. It won't slip my mind.
Okay, con. Yeah, that would be cool. I would like to read that. If you get a chance to send it to me out,
Yeah, come.
that would be cool. But yeah, going back to that point, and I'm gonna send you like one, two, three or four more scriptures in the private chat.
Come.
But yeah, another point that I just made, I think it was the last live we did as well. Like, think about it. Tortillas, that's unleavened bread. That's
Come.
literally unleavened bread, right? Our ancestors were eating that thousands of years ago, and we don't know exactly where there's different stories on how that came about, but we know that that's what they were eating back when they left from Exodus. They didn't have no time to let the bread rise, right? So they had unleavened bread. So it's crazy how, even though, like the brother said, we've lost our identity, there's still certain things that through the Spirit we still have and we still do, whether we realize it or not, came from that.
Most definitely.
Oh, the brother said, the water edified as always, all praise the Most High. Khan, all praise the Most High.
Okay. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 119, verse 63. I am a companion of all them that fear thee, and of them that keep thy precepts.
So going back to the original topic, two are better than one in righteousness. Two are better than one, but your companion, your friend, your person you're courting, your wife, your husband, whoever it is, it needs to be a companion that fears the Most High and keeps his precepts, right? And notice it doesn't say them that say they fear the Most High, them that say they will in the future keep his precepts. Because this has happened too many times for me to count over the past few years. I've done so too many courtings for me to even think of that courting advice or counseling, things of that nature. And it's always okay, well, this person says that they will start to try to keep the ways of the Most High. And more times often than not, the majority of the time, guess what? You're not supposed to believe it. Like the Most High said, let God be true, but every man a liar. Me, the brother Jomar, anybody you talk to, we are all liars if we're not going by the word or living by the word, right? So when it comes to having friends or courting or anything like that, you got to make sure that they are someone who truly fears the Most High and is keeping the precepts.
Psalms 119 and 15. Depart from me, ye evil doers, for I will keep the commandments of my God.
Khan, I will keep the command. When you depart from people that do evil, that is going to make that evil flee from you. As a matter of fact, let me get that precept real quick. It's Sirach. Let me see. Chapter, it's Sirach 7 and 2.
Come.
It says, depart from the unjust, and iniquity shall turn away from thee. Depart from the unjust. Depart from the people that aren't following the word, and iniquity shall turn away from you. Right? It's literally going to turn away from you because those people are doing those iniquities and they're turning away from you because you're turning away from them. Right? And it's going to be a lot easier to stop sinning when you're not around these people. So there
Depart
it
from
is.
the unjust, and iniquity shall turn away from thee.
Who are the unjust? Those that are not living justly in the eyes of the Most High. Those that are not trying to keep His ways. And like I'm sure you brother and anybody else who's already done this, departed from most of the people that are unjust in your life. It seems like such a simple concept, huh?
Yeah, it's easier said than done. Con.
Con, exactly. Easier said than done. But now that once you do it, it's like, man, that was so easy. It's like I don't know if you were on that live that I had said about the first day I was ever gonna try.
You cut off.
Salaki, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was just gonna say real quick. I remember the first day I was gonna do jujitsu, right? I went to the place. I looked in the window and I was like, damn, these dudes are going all hard. It was all steamy and sweat everywhere and stuff. And I was like, shit. I took off, man. I was like, I'm not even going in here. I was like, nah, it's cool. Right? I went and worked out at my house or something. So then
Wow.
again, later on, I went con, and then later on, I went and I did my first day, and that my first coach he was old school, like he wanted to just throw you in with the lions and see if you survive, so to speak, right?
Con.
But luckily, there was one dude. So I was getting beat up, bro. I was getting tapped out left and right my first day. But there was one dude who had just started about a week before. And I remember he was like, after I went with everyone else, all the higher belts, he was like, okay, roll with him. And everyone was watching. And I would watch fights and stuff like that. UFC wasn't as big as it is now and stuff like that. It was barely starting. But I had learned how to do a guillotine, which is a choke, a specific type of choke. So this dude came in to take me down, and right away I guillotined him, and he was tapping within like a second. You know what I mean? And he was new too. He was only like a week or 2 weeks in. But I remember from there, I was afterwards, I was all beat up. I was all, but I was like, man, I should have just, I don't know why I was so scared,
Yeah.
right? It's the same thing like how you said, departing from the unjust. It's a simple concept, but once you do it, you're gonna be like, damn, you're gonna see how better off you are,
Con.
right?
Oh, shalom to the brother. Good afternoon, bros. Shalom. My soul is afflicted. My rib and I feel weak from this beautiful day of atonement. All praise to the Most High. Con.
con,
the
con,
laughing.
con, con. Hey, that's good. You're supposed to afflict your soul, and I'm guessing you just came on here, but we mentioned earlier, the more you do it, the easier it's gonna be in the flesh to go through it, right? It's like when I was doing just pure boxing, I wasn't used to running all the time, right? They'll run. They do this cycle where you start 2 days of a mile, then you do 2 or 3 days of two, and you work your way all the way up to 8 miles, and then you work your way back down. Once we hit like 5 miles, I was like, damn, there's no way I could do this, right? But then I did it for a day, 2 days, and I was like, all right, now we're going back down. You do 8 miles one time, and then you come back down. And when you're coming back down and you're like 5 miles, psh, nothing, papitas, it's easy because you've done it already, right? So it's the same thing with fasting, right? Next time maybe you fast for. I remember me and my daughter, we fasted one time, and it was like, I think 30, 34, 36 hours. And we're like, next time we're gonna try and do it the whole day, 2 days, right? So eventually you'll be built up like that in the spirit, which the brother and I were touching on earlier, right?
Con.
So let's finish these last couple precepts. Let me see, where was I at? Oh, right here.
Thessalonians. Con. This is Second Thessalonians chapter 3, verse 6. Now we command you, brethren, in the name of our Lord Yahushua Hamashiach, that ye withdraw yourselves from every brother that walketh disorderly, and not after the tradition which he received us.
Con. So now this could be talking about in any situation with friends, even more important if you think about it, in a courting process, right? Disorderly means out of order. So if you're in a courting process, that process is there so that you can do things in order, so that you can say, okay, you know what? This man can lead me. He's been teaching me. We've been diligent in the scriptures, praying, right? Studying the scriptures, maybe even um, watching videos, keeping the days, the holy days together, even if you're not physically together, right? When I have a question, he's able to answer. If he's not able to answer, he's searching the scriptures and he's finding it for me, etc. Or a man, oh, I'm in a courting process, and you know what? She gets real disrespectful when I correct her. When I send her scriptures about to try and correct her, and nah, she gets loud. She won't let me get a word out. Right? Those are signs. That's walking disorderly. So in that sense, and then also with so-called friends, right? Anybody who's walking disorderly, you're supposed to withdraw yourself from that. What does that mean to withdraw? It means to pull yourself out of that, away from that. Because if not, evil communications corrupts bad manners. And as friends, that's completely true. As a matter of fact, we could finish with what is it? Proverbs 27:17.
Con.
As friends, there's really only two types of friends. There's those that help build you up spiritually, and then there's those that help break you down. There's those that are going to charge you, there's those that are going to drain you, right? So when it says we command you in the name, like, you got to understand, this is a serious statement right here. We command you in the name of Hamashiach Yahushai. It's not like, hey, you should withdraw yourself from someone if they're not walking in order. It's like, we command you in the name of our Savior that you withdraw yourself from everyone who's walking out of order, right? So you keep this verse in mind, very important.
Proverbs 27 and 17. Iron sharpened iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend.
Khan, you want to break that down?
Con, most definitely. Um, I'll just use me for example. When I first started watching the brothers' lives, I would just come in here and be in the comments, just for edification, right? And one time he asked me. I remember actually the first time he asked me to come on to the live. I actually had driven out there, and I was in his home. He had just baptized me, and I was tired because I had just driven 25 hours and got spent the day looking at some land, and then we did the baptism, and then we had dinner, and then he was still going to do a live. I was tired, so he had asked me, and I was like, nah, not today. I'll get built up in the spirit to do that. So he did the live, and then eventually, I was just in the comments posting the scriptures. um and that in itself was me. He was keeping me on my toes. He was sharpening the iron of my sword, and I would be posting the scriptures. And then eventually it led to me actually coming on the lives and being able to speak with confidence. But that confidence doesn't build up until that iron gets sharpened by other iron. And same thing, now I feel a sense of self confidence to where if he's talking and I was like, oh, you know what, that actually brings a cool precept, and I'll either send it in the private chat to him or post it in the comments, and he'd be like, yeah, and then you'll hear him say, that's a good point, and that's a sense of my iron sharpening his iron, so that we sharpening the countenance of our friend, that in turn builds our friendship, aside from the friendship that we have, to the countenance of each other's well-being, because like it says in Sirach, those that fear the Lord, he gives us good friendships. So in turn, iron sharpens iron. When you have good friends who are in the scriptures, they'll sharpen your sword. Likewise, it's vice versa.
Con. That's a good testimony, Octawada.
Count all praises.
Con, and I remember that too. And at first I was like,
Hey, you cut off. I want to hear what you said at first. You said what?
at first I was like, oh man, come on. And then I was like, you know what? There's no way I could have drove a whole day and still being like, not only did you drive, but then you still were up, you know what I mean?
Con,
And then we were out walking on that land for a while, chopping through the trees and stuff.
con. Yeah, I was
So
beat.
con.
I'm
It's
not
all in
gonna
the
lie. I
listener's
was
time.
I was beat.
Con.
Con, this is
So
hold
yeah,
on.
let's go ahead and read two more precepts.
This is Matthew chapter 10, verse 41. Salakia. He that receiveth a prophet in the name of a prophet shall receive a prophet's reward. And he that receiveth a righteous man in the name of a righteous man shall receive a righteous man's reward. And whosoever shall give to drink unto one of these little ones a cup of cold water, only in the name of a disciple, verily I say unto you, he shall in no wise lose his reward.
Con. So just going along with what the brother was saying, right? Even when he wasn't comfortable enough to bring out the scriptures himself or anything like that, as I was prophesying, right? Which you'll never hear me call myself, I'm a prophet, blah blah blah. I like to say a servant of the Most High. But a prophet is basically someone who just prophesies, who's bringing out the word, right? It says, "He that receives a prophet will receive a prophet's reward." And down here, 42, it says, "You if whoever will give to drink, right, to a disciple, in no wise shall lose his reward." Right. So going back to that iron sharpens iron, that's what we're doing. I was giving him when he was just in the comments, right, watching, giving him a drink of the spiritual water, right? But at the same time, he was helping me out, giving me a drink, so to speak, posting verses, right? Like he's still doing now, and still helping out with different understandings and point of views and stuff like that. So we're sharpening each other's iron. And it doesn't matter who's the one. Um it's like every brother wants to be that brother teaching or that brother out on the corner speaking, right? But Yahushua said the last will be first and the first will be last. And it's like the parable of the penny, which we did a lesson on that a long time ago too. We're all gonna get the same penny. It doesn't matter if I'm talking more, if the brother's talking more. What matters is the edification that's coming out, right? So iron sharpens iron, and that doesn't mean, okay, well, yeah, his sword is bigger, his or my sword is bigger, but his is shinier. His. It's about how sharp we are making each other, right?
Con,
That's the whole point of it. So actually, if we could read Ecclesiastes 4 one more time, Mark, and then we'll finish it. It was 4:9 through 12. It won't
con.
let me go all the way back up.
I got you. Uh, yeah,
The
let me
water.
just pull it up. This here.
So Mac Israel
Okay,
says, practice and command. commitment. Con.
John. So here, I'll post it so that people can see it on
Salakia,
the
go ahead.
screen. Post it.
Okay.
Um, Ecclesiastes chapter 4 and verse 9. Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him that is alone when he falleth, for he hath not another to help him up. Again, if two lie together, then they have heat. But how can one be warm alone? And if one prevail against him, two shall withstand him. And a threefold cord is not quickly broken.
Con. So, like we said in the very beginning, two are better than one if you're living in righteousness, right? If you're striving to live righteous and you're gonna get with somebody wicked, whether it be a friend, husband, so like your husband, wife, etc., two is not better than one. You're better off by yourself, trying to live by the ways of the Most High. But if you are both trying to be in the scriptures, or more than two of you trying to be in the scriptures, you're gonna have a bigger reward for your labor. Because more people equals more labor. Twice the strength, twice the work, twice the help, correction, wisdom, understanding, etc. If you fall, you have someone to help you up, whether that be physically or whether that be spiritually, right? You have someone to lie down. Just having a warm body next to you, I can speak from experience. Going to sleep, that's a blessing, right? That's a blessing. And if one prevail against him, two shall withstand him. Maybe by yourself, you're gonna fall into some type of temptation. Satan's trying to get you to go off. To oh, you could smoke some weed, nobody's gonna know. You could you could fornicate or fulfill your lust or watch porn. No one's gonna know except you and that person that you're doing it with, right? But if you have someone who is trying to live righteous with you, y'all are gonna withstand that. They're not even gonna get you in that situation. And the threefold cord is not quickly broken, right? The more people you have in righteousness, the more power you have. So you want to say anything out before we close it out?
The water to everybody who stayed on here. Hope whoever's observing Day of Atonement, you have a good one, and keep in prayer and in reading in the scriptures. I know this was very edifying for me. Hope it was for you guys as well. All praises to the Most High Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai Hamashiach. The water, for letting me to come on here.
Con, most definitely. The water for coming on and helping out as always. Um, hold on, kingdom minded. I'm in search for a woman. Con, I got a verse for you real quick, Ak. Hold on. It is. Let me see. Could you get First Corinthians 7:27, Ak?
Con,
And Philippians 2:12. Philippians.
one of my favorite ones.
You know what? Con. And then hold on. What is it? Sirach. I know it's Sirach 26. Man, have you ever tried to look up a Bible verse by hitting in keywords on Google, but then you just go to your Bible and you can find it quicker?
Yeah, because you know what page and what side of the book it's on. Con,
Con, exactly. If you could give me a Sirach 26 and 23 as well.
26 and 23.
Sirach 23, 26.
23, 26.
Yeah, 26 and 23. Salakia. I'm I'm telling you, bro. It's being Hebrew. You read right to left, so
Right
sometimes
to
they get it
left.
backwards. Con. So before we end it real quick, so the brother said, "I'm in search for a woman," and this ain't to pick on you or nothing like that, brother. This is every moment can be a teaching moment. I always say that. So you never know. Salaki, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We back.
Okay, Khan. Satan doesn't want this teaching moment to get out. So every moment can be a teaching moment. This could help you, and this could help anyone else who's watching. Right? So the brother said, "I'm searching for a woman." Oh no, Tinder a good spot. Hopefully you're asking. No, Tinder is not a good spot. Tinder is not a good spot. Or IG. IG is probably not that. It might be, but it might not be, and that all comes down to these verses. We'll go over these verses right now.
1 Corinthians 7 and 27. Salakia. Art thou bound unto a wife? Seek not to be loosed. Art thou loosed from a wife? Seek not a wife.
Con, can you hear me, Ak?
Con, I can hear you.
Okay, just making sure because it cut off for a second. So it says, "Art thou bound unto a wife? Seek not to be loosed. Art thou loosed from a wife? Seek not a wife." So Proverbs chapter 4 says that wisdom, man, Satan really doesn't want you to hear this, Ak.
Mhm.
Proverbs 4 and 7, I believe it's 7, says, "Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding." The first thing you should be getting is wisdom. Okay, Con, the brother posted it up right there.
Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding.
So, the first thing you should be looking to get is wisdom. Before you get a wife, you have to get wisdom. Okay? And as a matter of fact, if you get Sirach, let me see, 1 and 10.
Con.
Me and my rib were just talking about this yesterday. In reality, and you know what? As soon as Day of Atonement's over, this is gonna be my first post. In reality, all right. In reality, every single sister that's looking for a husband, okay, he should already be married. What? What are you talking about, Doc? Because wisdom should be his first wife. Think about it. If everything has to be done decently and in order, if the man has to be the head, if the man has to teach the woman and has to water her daily with the word, then wisdom has to be his first wife in order for that to be done decently and in order, right? And yeah, Khan, the sister said, same for the sisters. Same for the sisters, right? The exact same thing. You have to build yourself up to be, and that's another thing that's hard for sisters, especially since they're emotional. They'll ask me, well, how, according to what this brother's saying, like, how do I find a righteous husband? Well, become a woman of the Most High. Well, how do I find a man that will protect me in Jacob's trouble and provide for me and make sure me and my children don't starve and this, that, and the other? Well, are you prepared to be a woman that is a helpmeet and a pillar of rest and is a teacher of good things to the children and is a housemaker and can do all of these things? Right? So it's the same thing with the women. I'm glad a sister said that, because if a brother said that, I'm sure some sisters would get mad, right? But anyway, so wisdom is the principal thing. You got to get wisdom before you get a wife. Search for wisdom and search the scriptures as much as you're looking for a wife, right? I'm sure there's some brothers on Tinder for hours, on Instagram, Facebook, Chapsnat, right? I don't say it the other way for those of y'all who don't know. All of these different things looking for a rib, going through all these profiles and looking at mutual friends and all of this stuff. Imagine if you tried to get your first wife wisdom that much, right? That is the principal thing. So that should be the first thing that you're looking for.
Wherefore, this is Philippians 2 and 12. Wherefore, my beloved, as ye have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now how much in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling.
So in the end, like I know we're talking about two is better than one, right? You're gonna have a reward for your labors. You can help each other up, etc. But in the end, it all comes down to you have to work out your own salvation. Let's say if you as a man, you get a woman and she's wicked and you're still trying to follow the most high, right? And it's gonna be way harder for you trying to follow the most high, but you're still striving and striving and striving. Well, guess what? You're working out your own salvation. Same thing with the woman. I know many women that are now, they came into the truth after being married. And they're like, man, I know I'm not supposed to leave my husband. It's only if he divorces me, and it has, you know what I mean? And that's a difficult situation. But at the same time, that's the way the Most High set it up. You have to work out your own salvation.
So, Rock 26 and 23. A wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man, but a godly woman is given to him that feareth the Lord.
Come. So it goes both ways. Like you were saying earlier, full circle. It goes both ways. A wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man. So if you're
Come.
wicked, you're gonna reap what you sow. You're gonna get a wicked woman. And then on the other hand, if you're a wicked woman, you're gonna be given to a wicked man. Right? So in the end, a godly woman, if you're truly godly, trying to live according to the scriptures, you'll be given to someone who fears the most high. And if you're a man that fears the most high, you will be given a woman that is godly, that is going to be a helpmeet and all these other things.
Sirach 1 and 10. She is with all flesh according to his gift, and he hath given her to them that love him.
So it's talking about wisdom. All throughout the scriptures, the Most High compares wisdom to a woman. She, right? She is with all flesh according to his gift. Like I say all the time, we all have our own dispensation or our own lot, our own amount of wisdom according to his gift. And he hath given her to them that love him, right? When you love him, you keep his commandments, you keep his precepts, then he will give you more. Because it's what? It's a gift. Same thing as the woman, like we just read, as a wife, right? She's a portion. That is something that is given. A woman, a godly woman is given, right? Wisdom is given to her that love him. So in reality, wisdom is supposed to be our first wife if you're doing things decently and in order. Because like I know to the brother and mine, one of our favorite verses in Tobit, how it says you are not supposed to take her for lust, but uprightly. You can't take a woman uprightly if you don't have wisdom. It's not possible. The sister said, "Woo, child, if that ain't the truth." Con, sis. Con. It goes both ways. Both ways. Do you have to get married this system's way to be considered husband and wife? Well, what are your? I'll answer that after the brother. What are your thoughts on that, Og?
To have to get married through this, like through the court system. I mean, not necessarily, because the Bible defines what marriage is. Um, I mean, if you absolutely want a written record, there are ways to get those. But if you want to go like truly just based off scripture, um, you can get married in that way, because the scriptures define what marriage is. Then again, I'm not married yet, so I'll let the
Con,
qualified speak on that.
con. So if you could give me Genesis 24:67, and you see Sirach 42:7. I know there was one more, but I can't find it right now. So that'll be good enough for now. The brother said, "Why do I be getting these lonely feelings? Because Satan's trying you out. That's why." Sirach chapter 2. Read Sirach chapter 2, verse 1 through 5. Read it over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Right? Sirach chapter 2, 1 through 5. It says, if you're coming to serve Yahweh, you have to prepare your soul for temptation. Right? And in that temptation, it says you have to constantly endure. And then it says, cleave to him, don't depart from him. And then in the fifth verse, it says, gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. Right? Gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. If you want to be accepted by the Most High, you got to make it through those trials. I know they're hard, but you got to take that as a sign. If Satan is tempting you, if Satan is giving you those feelings, right? It's because he doesn't want you to get closer to the Most High, right? So take that as a good sign. Look on the bright side. Be one of those that the cup is half full and not half empty type of people. You have an opportunity to endure temptation and be blessed.
Genesis chapter 24 and verse 67. And Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent and took Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. And Isaac was comforted after his mother's death.
You want to break that down? Now?
So this was after Rebekah had died. Isaac had gone. I forget who went, but they went to go look for a wife for Isaac, and the brother found Rebecca, presented her to Isaac, and when they went into the tent, they consummated. They had intercourse. They had relations. They had sex, and she became his wife, and he loved her. So Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. So this was, I believe, the first account of marriage in the scriptures.
Con, con. It is. So when you think about it, back then it doesn't say they had a big old marriage ceremony. They gave each other rings. They read each other vows. They just consummated the marriage, right? Which nowadays there's all different types of traditions and all that type of stuff. But in reality, when you go back, marriage and divorce was like simple. You know what I mean? It was easier to understand. As a matter of fact, if you can get Deuteronomy 24:1 as well, 24:1, right? I'm gonna read this real quick. It's Sirach 42:7. Deliver all things in number and weight, and put all in writing that thou givest out or receivest in. Right? So Solomon was saying anything you give out, anything you receive in, you should put in writing. Okay. So now he's talking about more of like say you have a business, right? So you're gonna write down, okay, I sold this for this much, and then I'm gonna buy this for this much. Basically, keeping receipts is what he's saying, right? But when you take a wife in, it is also good to have it in writing. Now, does that mean you need to go to the system to get that? No, it does not mean that. That has nothing to do with anything biblical, right? But I would say, and I've given brothers this advice before many times, I would say to get your marriage in writing. There's certain brothers, I was looking for the brother, but I guess he doesn't do it anymore. He would sell Hebrew marriage certificates. And it had, you know how you see the prayer, the Adawan Palau or the Lord's Prayer, and it's in
God.
Hebrew, and then right under it, it has the English. There was a brother that made marriage certificates like that, and it's nothing you got to go to the court system or nothing like that. But there was even some people that I know use those. They would sign their names on it, whatever. We got married this day, and then they would even get it. What is it called? Where you go? My
Notarized?
suegra's notarized. There you go. Yeah, like my suegra's a notarizer, notary republic. Some people would even go do that. If you want to do that, you can. You don't have to, but at the same time, it's a good thing to do because, like I've mentioned before, there's certain brothers from certain camps that will marry women, and then for whatever reason, they're not going to see it as marriage no more. They separate, and then the same sister ends up with another brother that's supposedly in the truth, and he didn't even know about it. He didn't even know she was just married a few months ago or last year. Like a brother was telling a story saying he went to one of those Hebrew summits, and he met a sister there. He ended up marrying her, and then come to find a few weeks later, the year before that, she was there with another brother married.
Wow.
Right? It's complete wickedness. But the point is, that's why it's a good reason to have it in writing in case of anything like that.
When a man had taken, this is Deuteronomy 24:1. When a man had taken a wife and married her, and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, because he hath found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her a bill of divorcement and give it in her hand and send her out of his house.
So we've talked about that many times. How Yahushai, with Yahushai came truth and came mercy, came grace, and he expounded on that about what's the real cause for divorce, which is he said except for the cause of fornication, right? That's the only reason you can really have an uncleanness in a woman and divorce her. But the reason I brought this out is because it says when you write her a bill of divorce and give it in her hand, you're literally putting in writing this that you're getting divorced, right? It's just a proof. It's like Solomon said, anything that you give out, um, let me go back to it. Put all in writing that thou givest out or receivest in. You are sending your woman back out. It said you send her out of your house, right? Or if you're receiving that wife into your home, either way, it's a very expedient thing to put it in writing. And that way you have proof. Because who's to say, let's say you marry a sister, you're hasty, and then she doesn't like, you know what, I don't want to follow this no more, etc. I'm out of here, right? And then nobody even knows that y'all were together, like the example I gave. And then she gets with another so-called brother, and that happens again, right? And again and again. So that's just kind of to protect yourself and to protect the whole situation.
Eloy Espinosa says, don't get married through the state. Create your own contract and agreement between man and woman under Yahweh. Getting married through the state gives them justification, I would say jurisdiction as well, and not under the Most High.
Khan, I would say exactly what you said. Jurisdiction too. You're giving them, you're literally asking them to be a part of your marriage. You're
I
and
have a question. So
go
lucky to
ahead.
cut you off. Getting married through the court system. What about if you know someone who is, um, I don't know what they call them, but they have the authority to marry outside of the court. Because I personally don't know how that works.
Khan. Well, when I was first coming into the truth, and this was probably about 4 years ago, right? I married a brother and a sister that were coming into the truth as well. And all I had to do was go online and take like a little, it probably took 10 or 15 minutes. You just read something, answer a couple questions, and then I became an ordained minister in Texas.
Okay, yeah, that's what because I know people that are that you don't have to necessarily go to the court, but that's the word I was looking for. They are ordained to marry.
Con. So basically, when you do that, it just gives you a license to do marriages, baptisms, like religious type of services, stuff like that, right? So
Um,
me personally, if it's up to me, I would be like this brother said. I wouldn't do it even through there because after you get married through an ordained minister, you still all he does is like okay, let me tell you the process. When me and my rib got married, right? You go to I had a it was my jujitsu coach at the time actually. He was an ordained minister. So I went to the courthouse, they print out the certificate, you go do the ceremony, whatever. The ordained minister signs it, puts his ordained minister number on it to prove who he is. You take it back to the courthouse, and then they'll give it to you in a few days or a week or whatever. So you're still, whether you go to the courthouse physically and get it done by a judge, or whether you do it by an ordained minister, it's still going on the books in the state that you're married, and you're basically giving them, like you said, a type of jurisdiction over your marriage and your divorce, really. Because let's say for whatever reason you put it on the books, we're married, we're getting married through an ordained minister or through the state, whatever. Let's say, and most high forbid that happens to you, to anybody, right? But let's say you have to get divorced later. You're literally you literally have to go through the court system now to get divorced, or they're still good. You could be like, you know what, we're divorced. You cheated on me, which that the cause of fornication is a valid reason to divorce your wife. You cheated on me, I'm divorcing you. Here's a bill of divorce. You write one and you give it to her in her hand, send her out of your home. But according to the state, you will still be married. And let's say later on you want to get married again to, let's say you find a different sister, whatever, anybody, right? Anybody who's listening, you're still, according to the state, married. So I personally wouldn't do it that way. If it was up to me, even though I am married again, but let's say if I was to take another wife, I mean, you wouldn't even be able to do that because polygamy is unlawful according to most states anyway. The brother, oh Salakia, went back up. Uh, there you go.
this is how they can get up in your business, which should have nothing to do with them and your marriage.
So Khan, you are basically inviting them into your marriage because if you want to do it through the court, and I'm not gonna say nobody do it through the court because I did it through the court, and it was almost, well, actually about 5 years. It was more than 5 years ago, actually. Now that I think about it, because it was when we are first learning, barely learning, we're Israel, things of that nature, right? But if I were to do it again personally, I wouldn't do it through the court, just because you never know and you don't want them having all your information, stuff like that. And that's not even with marriage, because me and my rib were talking about, like, for example, if she were to get pregnant again or something like that, we would want to do it at home. No birth certificate, no social security number, none of that, right? Because that's literally inviting the government into your home again, right? The brother said contracts. So yeah, contract. The contract is between you, the woman, and the Most High. That's a covenant, and it's supposed to be kept forever, right? The sister said that's messed up, wicked as hell. I'm assuming you're talking about the sisters, that so-called sisters that were doing what they were doing. Um, you want to read that out, please?
Hebrew marriage certificates to witnesses to put their thumbprint as their seal to witness your marriage. Two living witnesses can take place of a public notary.
Con. And I agree with the brother, except for the whole thumbprint thing. If you want to do that, you can do that, but there's no scripture that says you have to do that, right? But like the Hebrew marriage certificates that I would see, all it was is it had a covenant, it had a couple verses on there, and then you just sign your name, right? And it says the day, and then also, like the brother said though, it did say for two witnesses, because it says in the scriptures, it says, with two or three witnesses, let everything be established, let every word be established, right? So, and another thing to add to that, um, remember earlier we said, where two or three are gathered in my name. What does that mean? Where two or three are gathered in my name, there I am in the midst of them. So if you only got one witness, right? Let's say it's you, Ak, you and the woman you're courting, for an example, and you got one other person there, which I'm sure there'll probably be more than that. But if there was only one person there, and y'all are gathered in the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, well, guess what? Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is there too, in the midst of you. That's two witnesses. That's more than the witnesses you need, right? Oh, Salaki, let me pull up that. Let me see.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
Okay. Thank you very much. My husband and I didn't want to do it this system's way, only under Yahweh. Khan.
Khan, Khan, all praises. You don't have to go through the system. Nowhere in the Bible does it say you have to go through Esau's system or through the system of those who are oppressing you, right? Or who have you in captivity. Sister said it's that easy. Khan. I meant jurisdiction. Khan. I'm gonna go all the way down. Let me see. That's a good point. King Nika. Esau wants to be involved in everything. Khan. For two reasons. For two reasons. For power. Like, think about it. You don't go to somebody unless they have some type of power over you, right? And for money, because you're gonna have to pay for that. You got to pay for the certificate. You got to pay for it to be put in the system. If you end up getting divorced, Yahweh forbid, you got to pay for that, right? Uh,
An ordained minister is licensed by the state, then they'll register your certificate with the state.
Con, exactly. And me, even me, like when I became an ordained minister, I had to pay. I don't even remember how much it was. I don't think it was much, but you got to pay for that, and then you have to pay for the certificate, and then you got to pay for it to go into the system, etc. Um, Con, that's a good point too.
Anything you register, you waive your ownership of it.
Con, That's a good point. There's always, man. I swear, I'll be working, or I promise, I'm not gonna swear on nothing, right? I'll be working, and I'll have ideas to make videos and stuff, and I'm like, man, I should make a video about that. All right, let me finish doing this real quick, and then I forget about it. This is what's one of them. When you register your children, going back to what I was talking about, if me and my rib had a child, how we wouldn't do it through the state. As soon as you register your children, you get that social security number, you get that birth certificate number, you are waiving ownership of them. The state, when you do that, the state is entrusting you with that child, but you are giving ownership to them. The proof of that is if you later on have any type of neglect to that children, to that child, guess what? The state takes repossession, re-ownership of them. If you don't have them in public school or in some type of homeschool, some type of educational program, guess what? CPS is going to come if they find out. They're going to take re-ownership of that child, right? Because you are registering them under the state. You are basically giving them to the state, and then the state entrusts you with temporary ownership of them.
I heard stories that brothers divorce their wives over silly things.
You ever heard any stories like that, Ak?
Um, not personally. I mean, I've seen stuff on social media, but I
Con,
mean, you see everything on there.
true. Same here, same here. I've heard a few stories from sisters, but y'all can only imagine. Y'all can only imagine.
Contract in private, contract out in private. Just bring your witnesses. Like the brother was saying, this could be a whole different topic, but when you talk about social security numbers, birth certificate, things of that nature, you become chattel. You become collateral. If you can look up the word chattel, CHATTEL, and how in a mortgage, well, first if you even, I could go down the rabbit hole. Mortgage, when you're talking about the etymology of the word, it's a debt unto death. Mortgage, muerte. But once you start becoming the chattel of the state with your social, with your data, your certificate, you can even look at the physical paper and you are within the bounds of that document. That's why your name is in all caps. You can go deep into that. You become property of the state. That's why, like the brother said, if you neglect your child, neglect, which can, we were talking about that yesterday in the fasting terms. Um, the state can take possession. They can repossess your child. It's crazy. You can really
Con,
start learning a lot about that stuff. You start learning about the system and how wicked it really is.
con, most definitely. And like, think about that. The state sees your children as a possession, like when they repossess your car, right?
Hmm.
That's crazy. That's why, like the brother said, you can refuse a social security number, a patent of nativity. Con, we're actually gonna look into that more as well, if that comes about. The sister said, learning something new every day. Con, we all should be striving for that.
All praises.
Con, all
Uh,
praise the Most High.
kingdom minded. How do you deal? How do you deal with a brother that's trying to correct you, but doesn't want to talk to you, but only when you're out of order? But you're in order. He's not checking on other brothers or the leaders of the camp.
You want to touch on that?
I mean, how do you deal with a brother that's trying to correct you but doesn't want to talk to you, but only when you're out of order? It sounds like he's got strife. He's got a bone to pick. Um, Me personally, and this is just, if I was in your situation, this is what I would like to hear. I would like to hear, how do I get out of this situation that keeps coming up, right? So if thematically you seem to be in a position where a camp is keeping you from elevating, and that's not iron that keeps sharpening your iron, I would kindly and respectfully step away until you can figure out, your own salvation with trembling fear, to assess whether it's best for you to be in a camp or for you to really reestablish and realign your walk with the Most High. Because what it sounds like is, you're dealing with situations that are only placed before you because of a camp. So it's totally your call to make. If you feel comfortable and you learn the best that way, that's okay as well. But if you see more cons than pros, I would suggest taking a step back, reassessing the situation, um, as to why those things are coming about. Because if it's just always constantly strife when you're in a camp or in the presence of a camp, then perhaps remove yourself and reassess. And maybe if you feel comfortable, you can approach it later on. Or, if it doesn't work out, then, just walk your path until you align with what's right with you.
Con, con. Good points, Ark. I agree with you 100%. It sounds like a lot of strife. If you could get Proverbs 20 and 3, Baba Kashaw,
Con.
and just to touch on that real quick too, he kind of mentioned it already, but we got to understand or overstand that not everyone who's around you or reaches out to you, it's not because they love you, right? The majority of people around you, they don't care about you truly, right? And that's why they will only reach out to you when they want to correct you, especially on social media. The majority of people, like I could tell you from example or from personal experience, the majority of people aren't following me because they care about me, right? Some people are only following because they're waiting for me to slip up in their eyes, and then they'll pop out and disagree with me, right? It'll be someone who never likes anything, never messages me, never comments, never, but they look at all my stories, but they're seeing everything, and then I won't hear from them or see nothing. But then when they think they can prove me wrong in some area, they're gonna pop out and they're gonna try and correct. And they're only trying to do it out of strife. They're only trying to do it out of contention.
Proverbs 20 and 3. It is an honor for a man to cease from strife, but every fool will be meddling.
So it's an honor for a man to cease from strife. If, like you said, it wasn't. These brothers are never checking up on you. They're not seeing how you're doing. They're not trying to build you up or sharpen you, like the brother Jomar was saying. And it's just they're only reaching out to correct you. That's a sign that it's coming in a strifeful and a contentious spirit. And we touched on that yesterday as well. It's like Judas in the 12 disciples, right? Well, what happened when Yahushua said, one of y'all is going to betray me? And they were like, man, who's going to betray him? And then right away, what happened? They started arguing. Satan started that strife. And what were they arguing about? Who's the best? Who's going to be the greatest disciple? That's the same type of spirit that when you only want to correct, right, you're not really in it for the brother's well being. You're just in it to correct. I'm righteous. No, no, that's wrong. That's wrong. Right? You don't really love your neighbor and care about your neighbor. Let me go back up real quick. That's why even married couples signing the birth certificates, mother always signs as her maiden name, and the child becomes a ward of the state, a bastard, and the state with con. Like the brother Jomar said, it goes so deep. You could take it could be a whole. We've been on here 3.5 hours. We could probably do a lesson that long on just that type of thing.
Con. Nakama, I heard a brother wanted to divorce his now ex-wife because she has an attitude problem, but she ended up leaving him and he got remarried to someone else. Man, James 1 and 12.
Calm. And you know what? Just to touch on that too, man, it's crazy. We're gonna be here all night if y'all keep making comments. Eh, um, I'll just say this then: a sister should not have an attitude problem. Number one, right, with her husband, because she's supposed to obey as unto the Lord. As long as it's not against the scriptures, she should, in reality, be obeying her husband. But at the same time, a wicked woman is given to a wicked man, like we read earlier. So if that woman is being wicked, a lot of times what I see happening is brothers are taking a woman for lust, which again we were talking about earlier, Tobit 8 and 7. And since they take her for lust, they don't really court her and see if she would be a good wife, if she's wife material. And then this is the type of thing that happens. But then what does the brother do? He wants to divorce her, which is wicked, because that's not a valid reason for divorce. And that's just proving that they're both wicked, because then she leaves, she ends up leaving, which she's not supposed to do. But the brother wanted to divorce her for that reason. That's wicked too. So it's just proving the scriptures to be true, because Sirach 26:23 says a wicked woman is given to a wicked man. So that's just the scriptures playing out, as a matter of fact. Um,
Redemption manual. Okay, he said it's called the Redemption Process. Book called Redemption Manual 5.0.
what was that pertaining to? Ak? Do you know?
Um, he might be talking to the conversation we were having about shadow, debt, the property
Okay,
of the state. Um, I pulled up
con.
the
I'll have to look into
PDF.
that.
I'll save it. I just found it right now. I'll email it to you.
Okay, the water. Yeah, I'll check that out. I'll check that out later today or maybe tomorrow. That's crazy. People are wicked like that. It's truly sad. Con. I'm sorry, brother. I thought it was crazy. I don't want to hold you up here all day. Con. It's offensive. No problem. No problem.
That's funny. No, you good.
You're good. But Con, I know we already said it already, but again, we'll give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High Yahweh in the name of His Son Yahweh Shai. Um, I'm glad we were able to be on here. What, more than 3 hours on Day of Atonement, like it said in Hebrews 10, 25, 24 and 25. We're reading at the beginning. We're supposed to be exhorting each other, pushing each other to good works, and to love, to follow the commandments, follow the word. So all praise to the Most High. We're able to do that. Hopefully, y'all were edified. You want to say anything up?
Khan, the water for allowing me on. And like I said earlier, it was very edifying for me. I hope it was edifying for you guys as well. Um, I encourage you guys to take notes or just copy down the scriptures, make note cards for categories. King, I was gonna say also, now that I mentioned that, Kingdom Minded, um, DM me on Instagram and I'll DM you the what's it called? You said the note card I have on a category for temptation or resisting trials and things of that nature, because that'll be good to just go over whenever you're in that spirit. You could just go over a couple scriptures and battle it that way. But yeah, like the brother said, all praise to the Most High Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, the water brother, for letting me on, and for everyone that was on here.
Khan, the water for being on here again, and all the water to the Most High for letting us be on here that long for Day of Atonement. Right? There's nothing better we could be doing than bringing out the scriptures and edifying ourselves and His people. So the water to all of y'all. Y'all stay in the spirit, and tomorrow we'll be doing a live in the evening. I'll post up what time, either probably tomorrow on my Instagram. All right, so Shalom, Ak. I hope you have an Ashar, Yom Kippur, the rest of the day for you.
Likewise, shalom, shalom, everybody.